Good evening. This is a special meeting of the Groton Board of Education being held on Wednesday, June 4th, 2025 at 6:30. It's being held in person and remotely at the central office off of Flanders Road. The first item, in attendance today is Ian Thomas, Adrian Johnson, Matt Schulman, Dr. Andrea Ackerman, Dean Antipas, Dr. Mike Whitney, Jay Whitloff, and myself, Beverly Washington. The next order of business on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. The next item on the agenda is old business, discussion and possible action regarding a second reading of policy P4115.3, evaluation of athletic coaches. It's attachment number 1 in our packet. Matthew, do you want to start us off with that?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We looked at this for a couple of months now. I had some questions that the athletic director was kind enough.
Oh, Matthew, can I just interrupt you for 1 second? I made a mistake here. We do have today in attendance our new finance director, and I think Superintendent Austin wants to introduce her.
So I'm really so pleased to introduce to you Rita Parsiak, who is our new finance director and will be joining us June 23rd. But she's actually come for visits in between and been learning about us, and we're just so thrilled to have her. She's had 30 years of experience in business and financial management as finance and operation in Wyndham Public Schools since 2016. She's been responsible for multi-fund budgets totaling $80 million, so she's used to those big numbers like we are. And during her tenure in Wyndham, she oversaw district's finance and accounting operations, maintaining financial transparency, and led multiple initiatives to update and upgrade financial policies, procedures, and systems, including Munis, which we're looking forward to embracing. So you've come just at the right time, and we're just so glad to have you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you.
Can't wait to start.
Okay, Matthew.
Thank you, and welcome from the Etherland to you. With regard to policy 4115.3 in front of you, we had long discussions. We are still waiting to see the regulations. Just for anybody who's listening, policies, the domain of the board, regulations of the domain of the administration. But the administration has been gracious enough always to share the regulations with us and listen to the suggestions we have. And I know there are a couple more questions that we're looking forward to visiting on the regs. But unless Ian or Andrea remember something that this poor old guy has forgotten, I think we are recommending this for passage for the second reading.
Yeah, I'll just say.
Go ahead, Ian.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we went over this a couple times in committee and also through one of the meetings, and I'm very satisfied with the changes that have been made and the updates. So I appreciate Director Romano for all the efforts on that, and I look forward to moving along with this.
I echo what Ian has just said.
I think, Mr. Romano, that there had been a request from a board member for a copy of the coach's handbook, so if you're thinking, could you please send that along? And I will now move adoption of policy 4115.3, evaluation of coaches, as second reading. So
Second, Thomas.
Okay. Any discussion? Mr. Romano, would you like to say anything about the policy?
No, this is something that has been in place, even though it's not really our policy yet, but so looking forward to just moving along with the policy.
And I think the biggest thing is that it tries to mirror the new teacher evaluation, too, so that they're kind of in sync with one another.
Dean?
So basically, this is something you can live with. There's nothing in here you can't live with. Nothing in here that's going to be a potential stumbling block to your management of the department.
Nope.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other discussion? Adrian?
I did get the coach's handbook, and thank you for sending that. I had a lot of questions, and when I read that, it actually answered them and made me feel much more comfortable. So I appreciate you sending that to me. But yeah, I agree with the policy, so thank you.
And the regulations will give you the day-to-day detail that you can see on how, the forms we fill out and how we actually do the evaluation. So that'll be coming soon.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, all those in favor of approving policy P4115.3, evaluation of the athletic coaches as a second reading, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Jen, we just did the policy for athletic coaches. That's where we are. Okay. So that passes 8-0. Of course, Jen didn't vote. Not yet, anyway. Okay, next under new business is discussion and possible action regarding a budget transfer, and that's attachment number 2 in your packet. The motion is to transfer $300,000 from Object Code 321 to Object Code 640. Ray, you want to, I'll make the motion. Somebody want to second
I'll
it?
second it.
Okay. Ray, you want to talk about the transfer of $300,000?
Basically, it's to clean up some of the budget issues that we have. Early on, when I first came back in January, there were questions about where is the section that we put aside. And we were searching for it for quite a while until we finally found it buried in a little tiny comment within the budget itself. So it was placed in Object 321, which really, again, like some other stuff, I'm assuming it was just a placeholder. It should have been in Object 640, which is more applicable to where it should have been. It was under more or less a resource instead of a supply type of
Right.
process.
Textbooks, supplemental materials, that kind of thing. Yep.
Correct. This is a much more but this is, you did budget for it, it is in there, and we're just moving it to the appropriate.
And we did spend it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Dean?
Yeah, this is, again, one of these items where we ought to have an asterisk, that next year when somebody sees this enormous increase in this object code, we don't have to answer questions about, why the sudden increase. We should have the answer right in front of us. We could say, yes, this is not an actual increase in the function. It was a, whatever the explanation is going to be, but it's not a, we're not looking for, we don't have a savings over here and a giant, painted down red expenditure over there. There's a number of these, and we all know about it now. I just want to make sure that next year people are able to explain this.
We did go
with a
looking
straight
for it
face.
in the 600s, thinking it should be there, but we knew that it hadn't
Yeah.
gone up. So that's how we found it, actually, Dean.
You all set, Dean?
I am, thanks.
Adrian?
Yeah, Ray, what function codes is it coming out of and going to?
You're looking at the 1101. It's staying in 1101.
Oh, all right. I didn't catch it because the one in front of 1101.
Yeah, that's because of it. One is Fund 1, which that's your general fund. So it's Fund 1, Function 1101, and it was put in because there was.
All right, thank you.
Dean?
Thank you. So yeah, I just wanted to echo what Dean said about moving forward with the budget next year, to have like an asterisk or like a little notation on the page, in the narrative section to immediately address the large increase, and then also identify where it came from, so the corresponding drop somewhere else can
Yeah.
also be readily understood and identified. Thank you.
I'll remember that on one of the islands.
But you're not telling us which island, right?
Well, actually, I see Rita over here taking notes, so maybe she's making a note of what Dean has brought out.
Do they have extradition treaties there?
We do have this nifty little narrative in board book all the way through, so it does help us to remember things.
Any other questions? Jen, you have a question?
I think it's just a statement, if I'm understanding correctly. So by Ray doing this now, making the budget transfer now, when we compare 25 versus 26 next year, there will not be a shift, and we won't see it because it's already occurred. It's in the right spot. I just wanted to make that statement. That's how I'm interpreting it.
You are correct, Jen. You shouldn't see a big increase because it'll be spent.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor of approving the transfer of $300,000 from object code 321 to object code 640, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. So moved and approved. Okay, next is discussion and possible action regarding a first reading of policy P5112.2, emission requirements, and that's attachment number 3 in your packet. I hope everybody had a chance to look at it. If not, you can skim through it now. Matthew, you want to walk us through this?
Sure, I can, but I'm going to share the glory. Ian, would you like this?
No, go ahead. I'm working on projecting it.
Was it that hot of a potato?
The new language is in green on column A, if you want me to help out here to orient you. And this suggestion was made from the enrollment folks and the registrar, because it just helps clarify to make sure that we're really careful when we're bringing people in, to make sure that we have all of the documentation needed to prove that they are indeed residents of Groton Public Schools. And so in column A, you see a current residential rental or lease agreement, a current residential mortgage statement within 180 days, and then notarized resident affidavit. And you'll see the next page. It's if people come in and they're living with someone else, and we're seeing more and more of that, whether it's family or friends, they have to, testify that they are indeed, tell the truth, whole truth and nothing but the truth, that they are absolutely living in that residence, throughout the week when the children are attending school. And then the military, because of the compact, which Dr. Ackerman knows and is well aware, is that if they have a home offer letter for residency or military orders, those are both available within 30 days as follow-up. So those are really just the fine-tuning of this. Nothing else has changed.
Dean?
So, the notarized residency affidavit. So, I guess somebody would sign a statement saying, I swear, please raise your right hand, the notary would say. Do you swear that the statement's true? Yes, I live here. Thank you very much.
That's right.
In my business, I'm paid to be cynical. Sometimes I'm not paid at all, but I am cynical, nevertheless. I'm sure most people would be honest, but if somebody's motivated for whatever reason to say that they live here when they don't because they want their kid to come here, there's probably, I'm guessing, very, very, very small risk that if they just say, yep, I live here, and a notary says, well, you say you live here, I acknowledge that you signed the document. The notary doesn't stand behind the truth of the statement, just stands behind the fact that they were in the room. Sometimes even that doesn't happen, unfortunately. So I look at a notarized residency affidavit as not exactly on par with other documents that are leases or mortgage statements or tax bills or things like that.
So the registrar makes it very clear that they need to be honest, and that we do have a follow-up of house visits to make sure that they are in the residence, and we do that. We do follow up residential house calls,
Yeah, because I mean, if
sometimes a few.
I can imagine. Again,
So if there's any indication that that's not happening, then we have, other means of really finding out.
Right, and that's what I was getting at, because the penalty, you can see people attempting to do something like, again, they're motivated to actually bother to do this. This isn't done passively. They're going to say, yeah, I have my reasons for wanting my kid in the Groton school system. I'm going to say that I live here when I don't, because we have had kids in the past who aren't from here, have no other right to be in this district, and we find that out later, because the penalty is, oops, we were found out. But, chances might not be bad that they will not be found out, in the great shuffle of things. That's why I'm just saying, I look at that document as the least trustworthy of all the group of documents. So that's my reservation about that.
And in this age where housing insecurity is really kind of a phenomena, and, with a lot of transient nature anyway in our community, that's why I think the current language is there, too, to also help secure that it can't be an older document.
Anyone else?
A quick,
Ian, go ahead.
yeah, a quick question, and I may have missed this in some of the details. How often, this is for new intakes, essentially. What about like longtime residents?
If we're given an indication, sometimes if we send out certified mail and it comes back, address unknown, we'll follow up with that, and we'll have someone do a house visit just to make sure that they're living there, or we'll call and say, do we have the right address? Because sometimes they've moved.
Right.
So sometimes people will move, and sometimes they move right within Groton, and it's just a way to find the right, address to have the emergency information. Sometimes they might move away, and we found that. We've actually seen on Facebook, here's our new house, and we're living in Montville now. And we've had to call them up and say, you need to now register in Montville.
Right. But there is some.
It's not an exact
leniency,
science.
Some grace period for
Yeah.
certain times of the year if a student moves within the school year.
There is a policy, and we're looking at it again. Our policy has been very generous. Most districts give them a week or two. We, if we know in the springtime, we let them stay till the end of the year. If they're a senior and they're going into their senior year, we allow them to stay. So ours are really very generous as far as understanding transient nature and trying to be. But it does cost the district some money in doing that. Other people really want to have that made immediately.
And there's always the option for any family that may be transitioning out to contract with a district to be an out-of-district student.
Yes, and we've had that too.
Yeah, so
Quite a bit.
they pay
Right.
a tuition.
That's right.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you.
Yep.
Adrian?
Yeah, just on page 2, under column A, it says notarized residency affidavit. It says see next page, but I don't believe that it's
No,
going to...
it's not attached.
That's part of the Rs, right?
Oh, that's probably part of the Rs, but it does say see next page. So
And
I'll
I
get
think
that
the
for
way
you.
everything, am I on the wrong thing?
No, it should be in the regulations, though. Or it should be an attachment. I don't see it, though.
Is it the asterisk, Adrian, on page 2?
Yeah, and it
I
says see
think-
next page, but it doesn't come paginated when you look at it online. It just reads as one long document, so it should,
Oh, okay.
whatever that's going to do, it should reference another column, another title of a section or something. See section, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
So maybe make a note to insert regulation code?
This is meant to be in the policy. I made an error. Adrian's right. It is on the very next page
Yeah,
under
but-
the asterisk.
Right.
So, and it's just giving you examples of if the student's family is living with another family in Groton, the person that they're living with has to come in and notarize.
So it should just say see admission requirements for Groton residents? Or, well, no, how do you want to word that? Because it shouldn't be page, right? It should just be see below.
It's not paginated on the thing?
Well, it's not online, I don't believe. I was just looking through some longer policies, and it looks like it just reads as one long policy.
I'm going to
So
go
like
back
what
to
we
the
have printed
team.
is
With the asterisk.
paginated.
So what if we do just add like a subheading, like there's 1 and 2 here, so maybe add like an A, see A, sections 1 and 2, something.
Well, this is really
A1.
regarding the affidavit. So it
This is an
says,
But
explanation.
if it just says see below
Yeah, I was
with an
gonna say,
asterisk, and then
see
the
below.
asterisk is below it,
That works too.
then that would,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, yeah,
because that's how it's going to, rather than referring to a specific page.
right.
well, I don't think it could have fit on this page, so that's why it had.
I don't
to
think
be
it
next.
matters, though. If you just say see below, naturally you would, if
Okay.
you're looking at pages, you'll look at the next one. If you're looking at it online, it will be right below it.
All right.
All right, well, I'll make a motion to change out next page for next page for
Wait.
see below.
Jen, you have something?
Yeah, so if we're going to do that, should we remove that little heading there, admission requirements for Groton residents continued?
No, that's the title of the policy.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So that won't be in
'Cause
the
it's-
That won't show.
online
won't show?
version, I don't think.
'Cause it
I
just,
tried to
like,
find one, which I think is
interrupts
2 or 3 pages, and it just reads as one long policy.
it. One long policy, okay.
So it will be below.
Yeah.
Just for us, in
Yeah.
the policy
Yeah,
book.
that's
Yeah.
fine.
So it
Got
will
it.
be, okay.
Just to make it
May I
official.
help- May I help clarify that some?
Oh, sure,
Go ahead.
Lauren, thank you.
I didn't want to.
Lauren to the rescue.
So when it came to the notarized residency affidavit, that was a recommendation that came out of the policy committee because of the way it was being looked at during policy meeting. Initially, it was just the asterisk, and then beneath the 2-column chart was the asterisk that explained the process for the residency affidavit, what the steps would need to be included in that, in completing the residency affidavit. So it would be easy enough to just revert back, if that's helpful, to just including the asterisk, which does signify to look right below, right? I don't know if that's easier and makes more sense for everyone. We could do that.
And say see below? With the
You could
asterisk?
say, see, yeah, you could say see below, where the asterisk itself does signify that there's an explanation underneath. I mean, that's typically, that way you don't have to worry about, the pages, and how it has the formatting depending on where you're looking at it.
Dean?
Yeah, now I've got a question. I want to make sure this is clear. So I've got no problem, frankly, even with the next page or see below, either way. So the asterisk is meant to direct you to the text that says if the student's family is living with another family in Groton. Okay, so the way it reads is 1 and 2 are for the situation where the student's family is living with another family in Groton. Otherwise, none of these requirements are there for the residency affidavit. So I'm curious, this is the way that it reads. So if you're not living, so if you are living with another family, then you must complete the affidavit, you must provide a photo ID, et cetera. But if you're not living with another family, you're saying, I live here all by my lonesome with my family, then you don't have to show for example, the photo ID.
Well, and you wouldn't be signing a notarized residency affidavit, you'd have a lease or some kind of a,
Yeah, but
You would be providing a different document
Yeah.
under column A. So the notarized affidavit is specific to families who are living with another family in Groton.
okay. So if I live in Groton, then my only choices are a lease agreement, mortgage statement, escrow agreement, tax bill, and then for the military families only, we'll skip that for a moment, right?
Right.
I do not have the option, if I live here, my family lives here, and we're not living with another family, I do not have the option of a residency affidavit. That's our policy? Okay. That's not spelled out. Would this policy give somebody the impression that they would be entitled to say, well, I don't have any of the other documentation, but I'm willing to sign an affidavit saying we live here. What about that class of people? I'm just, was that intended, and the asterisk is kind of, seems to cover 1 and 2 unintentionally, or?
Well, there is column A, column B, that thing, sorry.
You have to do
She's
one
got her hand.
from each.
Yeah.
It's okay. I was just thinking, do we just create like an affidavit form that then they could print, they put I, Jen White,
They do
blah,
have
blah.
that.
But then,
We have
should,
that.
so if we have that, then shouldn't we just say notarize affidavit form and then refer to that rather than providing an explanation of what they need? Because that form should have these things required on it to
guess
make
that's
life
what-
simple.
That's what I was looking for, Jen. And Lauren, is that in regulations? But I know that affidavit form is somewhere, right? Is that
Yes, it
attached
is.
to
And
policy?
that's actually, that is a great idea. What we could do is link it right into the policy so that they could open it up and it would be available with more information to it so they can see it and make sense of it.
Good idea, Jen. Okay.
This
Yeah,
way,
thank you.
yeah, this way we're not getting randomness. We're getting our form with them filling out the information we need and then getting it notarized.
I'm still not clear. It seems like, again, I live here, I say I live here, but I don't have a lease agreement with anybody. I say I live here, but I don't have any mortgage statements. I don't have any escrow statements. I don't have a tax bill from the town. And I'm not a military family. So, and the residency affidavit doesn't apply to me because it seems to only apply to people living with somebody else. So what about me?
You've inherited your grandmother's house.
But you still have to pay a tax
Whatever.
bill on your
I'm
property.
living under a bridge. You mentioned homelessness before. I'm living under a bridge with my family in a box, something, right? Whatever. Those people don't have anything in here, it looks like.
Well, homeless individuals, we have a separate process and procedure for families who are experiencing homelessness. So obviously that would be an exception to this, and they work directly through Denise Doolittle.
Okay.
She, so yes, so there are other scenarios that may not necessarily be covered under here that we do have processes for.
Yeah, but I could be living someplace that's a rental, not a home, right? Okay? Maybe the home's all, well, if the home's all paid for, I'm paying the taxes, okay?
Yeah.
I'm a tenant somewhere, and as is often the case, I don't have a written lease. Or there might have been a written lease from 10 years ago, but whatever. I don't have a lease to provide anybody. I certainly don't pay the taxes on the unit. I don't have a mortgage, and I've got nothing else.
An electricity bill.
Well, do we say that?
No, that's column B.
Column B.
Column B.
Very well.
Column B.
So Dean, I just think you'd have to go to
So
the
I'm
people
covered.
you're renting from
Okay.
and get
No,
something.
that's
No.
only in column B.
You still have to get some kind
From
of
from
a
column
official.
A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I need one from me
Or
and one
an
from
official
you.
lease.
But
Like you
again,
need an updated lease
If the
from that.
affidavit only covers people who happen to be living with somebody else, I'm out of luck. I can produce something from B. Yeah, I get a utility bill. I pay my electricity here in the unit that I'm renting, but I don't have a lease.
Well,
I've got
then
nothing to show you.
you have to get something from the landlord.
Yeah,
That
that's
says
it.
that you live there and that you're
Current.
paying
Right.
X amount of money.
Because if you did bring that one from 10 years ago, we'd probably say you need something current.
Right. So this is the presumption is that people will be able to mind their affairs and figure this out. So often, we provide them with the steps. We elucidate the steps to take. Just so you know, this is what you must do. But in this instance, it's, hey, you'll figure it out.
Well, we work with people. Yeah, we do. We work.
No, our registration office works very closely with these families to try to help them move through the process and
Yeah.
explain things that may not necessarily be clear, or those nuances like you do talk about when we do come across and which category or bucket they may fit into. So our registration team is very good about supporting families, through the process.
Okay, so,
And Dean, it doesn't say lease, it says residential rental agreement. So you can get something, you don't need a lease. You can get something from the landlord to
I
say you're
understand.
renting.
Sometimes the landlords don't want to give out an agreement because now they got obligations written out. All that, I've seen people do this. Part of this, too, is, okay, number 2 says photo ID. So if I live with somebody, I have to, not only do I have to produce the affidavit, I've got to have a photo ID. But if I'm living on my own, renting without a written lease, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you'll work with them. Do you require a photo ID? Are they in fact who they say they are? You require that
Yes,
for,
sir.
okay.
Yes.
Again, but that's implied. It's not stated in this policy, because this language only applies to the living with somebody else crowd, however many that is.
It's it may be in a different section of the policy. I can only see a small portion of it online right now. But yes, it does state somewhere exactly what is needed, what are the required documents are for all of the registration processes. And a photo ID is a required document, along with the children's date of birth, as an example. Like, we have to have a specific document to identify the child's date of birth. And then we list a few of what those options could be.
I think it would be much simpler if the asterisk applied to 1, and that 2 applied to any situation where there's a residency affidavit. The residency affidavit should come with a photo ID regardless of where you're living, on your own or with somebody else, if you're providing a residency affidavit. But, hey, that's just me.
Ian, you had something to say, Ian?
What I was going to say was trying to identify the 2 columns. It was in response to a comment from Dean earlier, but we've moved past that.
All right.
But I do agree that there is some ambiguity here, but I think the onus is on the person in question. Like, right, once the concern is raised, then they have these options that are presented in column A and column B. And then it's up to them to figure out which one they can produce.
Okay.
And that's how we work with them,
Right.
when we know the story.
Can I just ask?
Jen, let me ask you a question. Were you going to amend something?
I was going to suggest that we just, I was going to make a motion to say, like, change C next page to C below, or just the asterisk, to clean it up so it's not as clunky. Because I agree with Adrian's statement that this is designed to be in paper form. Like the next page thing only works on paper, but a lot of
Not
people
many of us
interact
use
with it online.
Yeah.
So,
I just pulled up the actual policy online, too, and there's no page numbers. It's just one long
Can we
document.
do that without an amendment? Just-
Yeah.
whatever it
just do
takes.
Lauren, you got that, to do the C below?
Lauren? She there?
Yes. Yeah, I think see below works much better. If
Okay.
we don't
Okay.
include anything there, see below makes more sense.
Okay.
Agreed.
You all set, Ian?
Yep,
Okay.
all good, thank you.
Jen?
Just a question, right? Like, how did you determine, and this might get into Dean's, how did you determine that the driver's license is in B? Because if you move the driver's license to A, Dean, would that solve your problem? Because everything else is like 30 days or current?
Well, if you put, A is really all about the way it's laid out now. A is all about the where,
Yes.
okay?
Right.
Driver's
Okay.
license is about the who. If you put that in
Okay.
column A, it just says, there's a driver's license, which may have an old address on there. Lots of people's
Could
driver's
have old
license.
address, it could have a little
Addresses
sticky,
from,
Okay.
anybody's
somewhere
made up
else, so-
address.
So the license just ties you to a name. So that properly belongs
In B? Okay.
in B. Well, not in A anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, frankly, you should be able to say, yep, this is my utility bill, this is my mortgage, my ever, and by the way, this is me, see? So that everything's
Okay.
tied together, at least on this, facially.
Okay, any other discussion on policy? Excuse me?
Beverly?
Yeah?
Thank you. I would offer one more idea. I don't know why we didn't do it in committee, but I would suggest we consider, in lieu of valid Connecticut driver's license, make it current state-issued identification, photo identification. Current state-issued photo identification. Some people don't have driver's licenses, but they can get a state ID from the state police or sheriff.
I don't know, that's
The only
asking a
thing
lot.
we need to really consider and think about is this is specific to proof of residency. So do all state IDs carry the current address on them? So I'm thinking about, as an example, passport, right?
All right, Rita, you can jump right in. Go ahead, Rita.
That's a federal document.
My son has a state ID because he's special needs, and it has the address, and you have to prove that you live there.
So state IDs have an address.
Maybe you
Okay.
could say, or state issued
I do.
ID with the address.
Did you hear that, Lauren?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, again, as long as it has the address on it, since we are trying to prove residency, that's the most important piece.
Okay.
It looks just like a driver's license, it just says state ID on it. It looks exactly as a number, and exactly like a driver's license.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Already helpful. Thank you.
Now, do we have to amend the,
We'll say as amended.
As
And I
amended.
took some notes, and Lauren's on, so we'll
And
make
I'm
sure we
making
got it
it
right.
real time.
Oh, yeah,
You're
fixing
going to
it
do it
right
in real
now.
time. So there you go.
Covered 3 ways.
Yep.
okay. All right, any other discussion about policy 5112.2? All right, do we have we have a motion to approve it? Dean, can you make a motion to approve it, just in case? Because I didn't write anybody's name down, so.
Didn't you do it and Dean seconded it, or was that the first?
No, that was the one before.
All right, fine. I move to approve policy P5112.2, admission requirements as a first reading,
Second, Thomas.
Second, Ian? Okay,
as amended.
as amended. Okay. All those in favor of approving policy 5112.2 as a second reading, admission requirements, none, I'm all messed up. Admission requirement, is it admission requirements? Yep, admission requirements as a first reading. Say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? All right, approved. The next one is discussion and possible action regarding a first reading of policy P5118, non-resident attendance. Let me do this first. Can somebody make a motion to approve that? And then, I think that's what I'm actually supposed to be doing first, before the discussion.
I'll make a motion that we accept policy 5118, non-resident attendance, as a first reading.
Second,
I can second it.
Adrian? Okay. All right, go ahead, Matthew.
Okay, the reason we were updating this, and Susan, jump in if I've misunderstood something, is that we wanted to tighten up the requirements for non-resident attendance without tuition. Previously, it was pretty well wide open whenever somebody left the district. Now we pretty well clarified if you leave by a certain time, or before a certain time, or after a certain time, you can or cannot stay as a tuition-free student. To me, that's the major change. Susan, is there something else?
No, we've always had this is that generous thing I'm talking about, is that we've always had ways that, for instance, the senior can stay for their senior year free of charge if they've been here. And this one says children affected by military transfers from January of their junior year through their senior year. But my understanding, Lauren, didn't we say, though, for other students, 12th grade, students wishing to complete their education in the district are also allowed? So that's number 4.
Yeah, that's.
So between the two of those, we do, ensure that they can graduate from Fitch if they've been here.
Any Adrian?
Yeah, I've got a question, non-resident with tuition. So it's my understanding that we have some students that pay to come here and do that for a couple of years. But down to the second to last sentence in that first paragraph under non-resident attendance with tuition, it says non-resident approval with tuition will be for 1 school year or less. Tuition rates shall be established by the board annually. So to me, that reads as you can only come here for 1 year. I mean, it also says, and maybe it means that the superintendent has to approve it every year, but it doesn't really say that It doesn't read that way to me anymore.
So I know that what the reality is that we've had children come from Stonington, Westerly, other places to be part of specifically the IB program, and they've paid tuition. And they know, we give them the board-approved tuition sheet, and they know what the price is, if there's any other added costs like testing, and they can see what the price is each year. But they basically sign on, and they're there for the 4 years, and they pay each year, unless they move somewhere. Sometimes they've done year to year, or they've done only 1 year. So it really depends on what the family needs are. And, I mean, the only thing we do say, class size makes a difference, but we've never had a problem with that. We've always had room.
Yeah, maybe that's why the sentence before that, it talks about class-size transportation. So if there's
Yeah.
not a problem with class-size transportation, you know, so if the...
Well, yeah, so if all of a sudden the classes get bigger, we want to be able to kind of take that spot back
Right,
for the
right,
district.
and that's why...
But maybe it just says
But maybe we should put in, but it can extend.
not, or maybe say something about how it should be renewed annually or something like that.
Maybe
Yeah.
renewed annually,
Yeah, I like that. Lauren, did you hear that?
Yes, I did. That seems to make more sense, right? Because I think we wanted to keep it,
Year to year, but
Yeah.
yes, you know, it just to prevent problems, and then, you know, I think it just gives us a little more wiggle room if we need it. That's what it comes down to.
So for 1 school year and renewed annually by the superintendent
Yep.
after such time or something like that?
renewable.
Renewable. But that way there actually somebody has to ask permission to the superintendent and presumably.
How would you word it, Lauren?
Really like that wording.
Excuse me?
I like that wording.
What wording was that?
and maybe non-resident approval with tuition shall be for 1 school year or less and may be renewed annually
By the superintendent
by the superintendent
or designate?
Yes.
or designee.
As herein provided.
As herein provided. How many words can you put on a page?
Any other discussion about this policy?
I'm good.
I've got just a side question. Do we actually have an AFS organization in school? American Field Service?
I don't think we do have an AFS.
It's kind of a blast from the past. I
Yeah.
almost forgot that I
You
was
mean
an AFS in high
from
school.
students who come from abroad?
Yeah, exchange, the exchange.
We've talked about it. Matt and I have had some conversations about that, about being able to, encourage students from foreign countries coming in. I know you dealt with it a lot at CRAC and East Hartford.
And also East Hartford, we would bring in international students, and actually they would pay tuition. That was a revenue generator specifically for the IB school.
Yeah, I wanted to go to Germany. My father said 9.
You understood it.
I had taken German. So.
Adrian?
Yeah, one other question. How does sports work with non-resident students?
Well,
Are there SEAC rules?
the CIAC approves the students, once they become, once they're paid resident students. So there might be some nuances to that about, the amount of time they have to be in.
We
our
had this
schools.
situation come up this year, and we did check with CIAC, and that individual that was paying tuition was allowed to participate in athletics for Fitch.
Right.
All right. So does that, I don't know the concerns that were in that instance, but in general, should sports be mentioned in this policy, or is that a separate thing from school? Like that we can't guarantee
I think-
sports offerings or something like that?
I want to make sure that I double check this, because it was a number of months ago that we were looking at this, but I do remember the situation we specifically reached out to CIAC.
Make
We let
sure.
that individual, we let the people at CIAC know the exact situation, and because we got some conflicting information from a different district, and so once we did reach out to CIAC, they did say it was not an issue at all. That once the student and the family starts paying tuition, it was acceptable.
And I know with the, the many different choices our kids can have, whether it's to go to Grosso Tech or whether they can go to New London schools or Learn schools, that they can participate in the sports or activities that they have. In marine science, they can participate in the sports we have because they really don't have sports, so they really, come back to fit to play sports, and that's all within the CIAC realm.
All right. I mean, so if they pay tuition right now, they get all of the extras like after-school activities and stuff is included in that tuition.
That's right. They do pay a little extra for testing, and if they're in the IB program. So that's part of, you'll see that schedule, that's part of the schedule for parents to pay.
Matthew?
I take a little bit of issue with the word extras, because if somebody is a member of our school community, our school provides education in many forms, including physical education and interscholastic. I mean, we had this long conversation with Mr. Romano about the value of sports teams to character development and teamwork. So I don't think it's an extra. It is part of our program. It is not the academic part, but it is an integral part of our program. Thank you.
But we do call it extracurricular.
It's extracurricular, but
Right.
it's not an extra. It's not.
But she just shortened it from extracurricular to extra.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I was when I said it, I was just referring to things that happen after the bell rings.
Yeah, right,
like
I
we
know,
said,
yeah.
like they still get to go to detention if that.
That's offered.
Your parents.
Okay, all those in favor of approving policy P5118, non-resident attendance as a first reading, say aye.
Aye.
As amended.
As amended, thank you,
Aye, aye.
thank you. Opposed? Abstentions? Approved.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, here we are with the fun stuff. All right. Discussion and possible action regarding reducing the BOE FY26 budget.
Oh, sorry. I was going to ask if Ray was able to project the live document, and we could do it like we did last time.
Okay, and then I'll finish reading.
Ray, would you be able to project the live document that you have that's updated, with the proposed changes?
Okay.
Yeah, hang on one second, let me grab it.
Thank you.
Okay. Budget by $2,357,075 to align to the approved Town Council RTM education funding of $92,004,575 with the tentative spending reductions as articulated in the May 19, 2025 budget tracker document with revisions discussed at the May 19, 2025 meeting.
Before we go too far, can you see the screen?
I can see it, but it's not legible.
Is that a motion on the floor?
Can you just make it a little larger?
Ray, yeah, if you could zoom in a little, Ray, that'd be great.
Okay, I made the motion. Can I have a second?
I can second it.
Okay, Jen.
I've been reading it all.
Okay. So, are we all set with what we went over the other on May 27th? We're all set with that? I take it. Any questions on anything we went over on May 27th?
No, as far as I'm concerned, I was looking at, we had a discrepancy of $130,000 that we had to figure out. And
Okay.
that's what we were coming back tonight to finalize.
Okay. So Susan has, what, yes, we
So-
had to find $130,000.
So I've highlighted the things that we have to look at. We broke apart, you see in the light blue, you see the 34,224, and we've broken it apart from those different areas because you want it delineated. And then the light blue or the above that are the areas that were already taken out of the budget back in February. So those had, and the reason the 0 is there is because we're not taking it out again. Otherwise, we'd be getting double negatives or, double reductions. We don't want that. And then there's some yellow areas that you see on the second page as well. So the yellow areas are the things you've not actually voted on.
Okay. So you want to explain that? The first one is the after-school enrichment.
Right.
For deduction of $17,000. And what were the after-school enrichment that you're talking about?
So it's originally, we had always had 38,000 in the budget for K through 8, I think it was noted. So we had added on to it because at one point Fitch had an extra grant program for after-school. It went away, but we've reapplied, so we feel like between what Fitch already has to offer and the likelihood of getting this other grant, we don't need that extra $17,000. This will still sustain us for K through 8. That was the original funding, was $38,000, so we think we'll be fine with that.
So then you only have, what, $21,000 to...
No, we are only removing $17,000 from $55,000.
Oh, and then you have $38,000.
Yeah, we'll have 38, and that should be sufficient. Yep.
All right. I thought you were subtracting the 17 from the 38.
All right. Thank you for the extra context here. That's been very helpful.
Any other questions about the 17,000? Mike?
Yeah, just a quick question. The superintendent mentioned Fitch having a grant, but K through 8. Was it maybe the middle school? I didn't get how those were related.
Just that when we were adding on to this budget, we were contemplating the fact that the high school's grant had run out. So we were adding that extra $17,000 thinking we'd need it, but we don't.
But this is a K through 8 account.
I know, but that's the only area that we have enrichment. So that's where it ended up. We don't have a K-12 account.
I think it probably go on student activities or something, or teaching and learning otherwise?
Yeah, well, so we've decided we don't need it, so,
Okay.
the 38 will do fine for the K-8, and that's where it is, so,
Thank you.
thank you.
Does that answer your question, Michael?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Next is, it says, based upon actuals and projected salaries, a reduction of $65,000.
Right. So we looked at what we actually had and the projection for salaries, and we were able to reduce by $65,000 in 2140-102.
What's 2140? I mean, I can look in the budget book to find out.
So,
Oh, psychological services?
Yes.
So that's a special ed account, right?
Mm-hmm. So Denise was with us on that, and we looked at that specifically and said, based on our actuals and what we were doing, what we had, that we could remove that $65,000. I think Mike Whitney had brought that to our attention.
Any question on that? Adrian?
yeah, so it shows we have 11 FTEs in that function. Is there going to be a change in the FTEs as part of this?
Ray, do you remember if there was a change in the FTEs or if it was just the related to the psychological services? Or is Lori?
It is, 102 is a salary account.
Yeah.
So
It has to be a salary.
Yeah, 102 says special ed
Yeah.
certified.
Yeah.
So you're getting rid of a special ed teacher?
No, it's a psychologist
A
for
psychologist.
psychology. I think it had been something that was in ARP ESSER. Is Lori on?
Yes, I'm here.
I think it was something, an extra person in that area from an ARP ESSER account. Was that right, for the $65,000?
We're not reducing the FTEs. There was an additional vacancy that was listed in the account that we've removed.
Okay. So the FTEs stay the same.
So the FTE stay the same, Lori?
Yes, that's correct. The only thing that changed was the actual dollar amount.
All right, so just to make sure, this isn't a live person.
Correct, it is not.
Okay. Mike, you have your hand up?
Oh, yeah, actually, I was just going to say more or less what Lori said. I brought up this account because in the original budget, there was, I think it's like a $70,000 increase, but then there was no FTE change from last year to this year. So I think this just makes it consistent.
Right. That's what brought it to our attention. Thank you, Mike.
Any other discussion on that? Matthew?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay. The next one is 2201, based upon actual and projected salary, function 2201, object code 114, $36,050 reduction. Let me find that.
And that was another one that Mike brought to the our attention. Lori, can you speak to that one?
Now, that comes from teaching and learning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was a position that is funded half through a grant. And when we reviewed the file, it appeared that the adjustment had not been made to remove the amount of salary that is included in the grant. So this is an adjustment to do that.
Okay.
And what position is that?
It says clerical administration. So what's that, Lori? Clerical administration. That's what 114 says.
Yeah, this is a grant, this is the grant position that we have in the district.
Grant, does that mean like grant writing, grant?
Correct.
Right, well, to me, grant is just one part of the description. As grant what? Grant funded, grant writing, so.
What was the
Grant writing?
position exactly, Lori?
We call it a grants facilitator, but it's basically the individual who writes and prepares all of our.
Okay, duly noted, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any?
Clarification.
Go ahead.
Lori, I don't want to name individuals, but I think our grant writer, the one I'm thinking about, is probably worth 3 times what we're paying for in terms of her capacity to write numbers of grants. I'm hoping this does not impact that individual.
No, she's getting paid a full salary.
Yeah, she gets her full salary.
Yeah, this is a
And
portion.
she also does work part-time. She doesn't work full-time, so.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Michael?
Yeah, so this one I brought up too, based on what was currently in the budget for this coming year and what's in there in the approved budget for, FY25, I think it's up more like $100,000 is all in this object code. But there are no FTE increases. Is there another position that in play there? I guess it's 36,000, that's half the one. But it seems like there'd be another, say, 65,000 or so that I could pair with an additional FTE because there was no increase in this clerical admin for that function code.
Ray, Lori, you have an answer?
I'm taking a look right now.
Okay.
Well, go back to double check again. And it's up 92, we moved the 34 into grant. So it's still up about, not quite 60.
Mike, you want to repeat what you asked?
Oh, I think Ray's getting to it, that if you reduce, say, that 30,000 or so, there's still another, say, 60,000 increase, and at least according to our budget book, there's no FTE increase from last year's budget to this year's budget.
Okay.
So I feel like maybe there's another position or part of the position in there too that might be funded but not there, or maybe just not in that FTE table. I guess if you guys know how many FTEs are currently supported and how many are going to be, so you all have the real numbers, that would answer that. So I'm not treating that as table. The function of the budget book is gospel, but it's all I had to work on.
Can I throw clarification? So I have the 25 approved budget, and on line item 114, clerical administration, there's one FTE adopted and actual in 23 and 24, and then there's 1.0 FTE proposed in 25. And now it says under adopted, so in the 26 budget, it says adopted 1.5 FTEs in that line item, and that carries through for 24. So that seems to be incorrect, at least in between the two budgets, and that carries through. So it doesn't look like an added FTE, but it seems like there was, like what was approved last year was only one FTE under 114.
But the year before it was 1, so how does it?
So, yeah, admin staff had 1.0 FTE in the 25 budget. And then the communications was added in this budget, and also makes it look like it was there in the 25 budget when it wasn't.
Oh.
So I'm wondering if that has anything to do with this?
Right. And this reminds me of a conversation, I think, when we talked about this before. In the 25 budget, you mentioned like you split the funding for the communications specialist between a grant and FTE. Is that still the case?
Yep.
Okay. So is this an echo of that? That other half?
Could be. I'm trying to think, 2313, I forgot to bring my book. Do you mind just showing it to me real quick?
The current one?
Yeah, the current one.
Oh, yeah, it's 22.
Look at anything.
Oh,
You're looking for
2313. So that's the business office, 2313.
It's posted 22, right?
That's the next one down, the next line item down. We're talking about 2201 still, correct?
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I was already down to 2201 is teaching and learning. All I know is that we really don't have any more people, but that things have been reallocated by department, and also there was that shift with partial grants and partial operations. So where we were trying to make it, I think, a little more transparent to split the departments up, teaching and learning still is an area where you have a combination of folks in that department. And they really do kind of report to Anne Marie. You know, she kind of has her hands in both areas, so really to supervise.
That's helping us explain that 36,000.
Well, I just think that's a part of somebody. Do you think that the FTEs didn't roll over, Lori, in the same way?
Can I jump in?
Sure.
I'm just looking at a report, and the registrar is also in that dollar amount, but I don't see the FTE listed under the function 2201, but her funding is in the dollar amount, and that is consistent with what's left after you deduct the 36,000.
Okay.
So that's the money for the registrar.
Okay.
It's just not listed on the FTE page, so that's something
We'll have to
correct.
fix that.
So would that be a 1.0 FTE?
Would that be a 1? Okay.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's for the registrar.
Thank you.
position. You're welcome.
Okay.
Then I would just throw another plug in that this would be a good reason to have some sort of integrated presentation of the FTEs, whether they're grant funded or not, or operations funded, just to have all the FTEs associated with the function code listed here, and then have an asterisk next to the money or the salary and saying, subtract out, this much is covered by a grant. So that, you know, if there's a full FTE here, then it's here,
Yeah.
you know, and then we say, okay, well, 36,000 of that is half the salary, and it's being covered by a grant,
Yeah.
you know. And then that would explain it, and, you know, a difference in the numbers, but we still know there's a full person in that function code.
Yeah, right now we're doing
That's a good
fund accounting. It's like general
Yeah.
fund over here, grant
And
over
grant
here,
fund,
something else
yeah.
over there. And
Make it all add
I
up.
like to look at it from the function point of view.
Yeah,
You know,
All
that
the
makes
people.
sense.
And then within that, what's paying for it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I think you asked for that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it looks on the town's budget. That's how it looks.
Yeah.
At least that's how it used to look.
It's been a recurring refrain.
Yeah, yeah. And my org chart.
Well, hey, that's your ad hoc committee.
Yes, we're eagerly waiting our first official meeting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just going to mention, there are some things that we haven't talked about up higher on this tracker.
On the other side?
Yeah, on the first
Well,
page.
let's finish this side, if you don't mind. And then we can go jump to.
Well, I'm just wondering if finishing these other ones out would have an effect, you know, because I have concerns on like software. If, like working out the ones up above it that we've already kind of talked about but not voted on.
What other ones aren't voted on?
So all the ones in the 2312, 2314, we didn't vote on that.
Well, these are areas you asked me to reduce that budget, and I told you that that was what I could do. I know it's because it's my budget, and it's, you know, Anne Marie's budget and HR, so we've worked really tirelessly to find areas that we could knowingly reduce and still be able to function our departments. So you have to trust us on that.
Well, I
I
think.
mean, if you have questions about any of
Well,
them.
we should still vote on it because we haven't voted on it. Or,
Okay.
Okay.
you know, I pulled up the spreadsheet from last week and it shows that we hadn't voted on it.
Okay, so if you want to
So
take a
those-
look at 2312 down to 2314,
Well, it'll be like the highlighted ones in 1700 too.
Okay.
430 and,
so from 1700 down to 2314.
correct.
So it's repair, Board of Ed reductions, repair of equipment. It's a reduction of what, $325?
Yeah, so I don't know, I put a whole spreadsheet together today on this to try to line everything up with how it was in last year's budget and how it is broken up into the 3 years. So I don't know if anybody had time to look at that.
No, I didn't. But is there any questions on this that you want to ask about what Susan did?
Well, so by going through that exercise, it helped me understand a few things, and I have really two line items that I have questions on in that, you know, in those categories. In addition, so I'm fine with all these cuts.
Okay.
But there
What other
was-
ones did you have?
For dues, general admin, so it's line item 811 between those three categories. So so the FY '23, what it says is the actual, or estimated, it's 13,162. The total budget for FY '25 was 11,810. But the total budget for that line item now is 19,250. So for general admin dues, it went up by $7,400.
But what we've actually spent is over 13,000.
But it's still, even if you've actually spent over 13, it's still 6,000 more than that, which is like 50% more. So I'm just wondering if that's
the additional
realistic.
5,250 is something called a MISA grant, which is Military Impacted Superintendent Liaison Group, and they've been the ones who've been working with legislation in the nation about impact aid. They're a really important group for this community to be aligned with because they give us very updated information, and they basically, through legislation, really support our military districts, so that was an additional one that I had wanted to add. So that's really the only differential, and I'd like to keep it.
That's in the HR office, though, correct?
Well, maybe mine was 6,000 of the 14,000, but it was about that number.
Yeah,
So-
so the superintendent's office was about the same, and then there was, as the year before, but then there was the add of the, when we broke them out. But that's what you're saying is the additional?
Yeah, that actual number is the one that I wanted to make sure that I had covered, because it's really important to us as a military district. And especially, we have a new group of people working on Impact Aid. They've done a fabulous job, but they do webinars for us and give us all kind of PD as well.
All right. And then my other question was, the big increase was in line 114, clerical admin. It was a 26% increase. 95,676 was the increase year over year.
What function is that, 2312?
Well, that's the sum of those, 2312 and 2314.
Okay.
That's why I put the spreadsheet together. And I only printed one copy, but I can show it to you if you want. So basically, the budget for that line item last year was 361,705 for line item 114.
Yeah.
And that was in 2312. So now broken out 12 and 14, the sum of those is 457,381, which is a $95,000 increase.
But the actuals were 428,216.
No, I see that. I see that. So in trying to count FTEs, I know we talked about this a little bit, but we had clerical FTEs in the approved 25 budget was 7.3, and now we have 8.0.
And that was what I was trying to say, that they've been reallocated in the departments, and, they've changed by bringing some in from grants to operations. Lori, did you want to say anything more specifically in the 2312 or the 2201, which is teaching and learning? I think we added that the registrar is in there, and you didn't realize that the registrar was, or the registrar is in the 2312, I think.
I don't think it is.
No?
now.
Okay, it's in teaching and learning.
Yeah.
I tried
It used
put
to be with me, and now it's in.
together. I put everything that I could.
Yeah.
I think it's got everything in there that's relevant. I took out benefits because
We did talk about this, Lori. The 4 and 4 doesn't add up to 7.3
Yeah, I remember.
from the 25, so it's off.
We talked about that a good bit,
Yeah.
yeah.
the previous
So
budget.
my intent in putting the spreadsheet together was to put everything out there so it's clear for everyone. I am not going to make a motion. If somebody else wants to, that's fine. But I just wanted to.
It was helpful. I did play
I
around
just
with it.
wanted to
Thank you.
physically understand what the changes were. So.
Here we were trying to be clear, and it was clear as mud.
What's that?
We were
Do
trying
you
to be
understand what the changes are?
Well, I still don't really understand the
the 0.7.
the 0.7 and 95,000.
Lori, can you help us with the 0.7, 95,000?
I know we don't have any added positions.
No.
So I think it's a combination of the shifting across all the functions, and I believe what happened is when all these functions were split out in the initial process, I don't think it doesn't appear as though all the FTE, because they're entered manually in these sheets, it looks like the FTEs weren't shifted corresponding with the dollar shift. So I think we have to just go back. I know we don't have any more people, so just rest assured on that.
But it's accurate this year.
Yes, it's accurate.
It's accurate for 26, I mean. Yeah.
Right. So it's the movement across all these functions when they split them out. So the only way we can validate is to kind of just put it all back together, which we can do offline and send something to the board afterwards. But the way, I don't have access to all of the reports to be able to tear that all apart right in this moment. But it looks to me people were moved between functions year over year. I certainly have seen that happening amongst these functions. And I think it's just a product of each time a new person comes in, they look at these positions a little bit differently, and they start moving them around between the functions year over year, which creates to the question of why are some lines up, why are some lines down?
And why is the money different? Why is it up or down, right?
Yeah.
You know, you're moving across the functions, so some functions are up, some are down, but you net out with the same number of positions and the same money that you, the same dollar amount you would have needed to have those same positions.
Yeah, so just to go back on number of positions, though, if we go into the older budgets, the actual fiscal year 24 was 7.3 FTEs, proposed 25, and the actual 20, or the proposed 25, the budgeted 25 was 7.3. So the 7.3 number has been around for a while for FTEs. Maybe it's been incorrect for a long time. I don't know.
Yeah, it could have been. Well, can you get back to us on that, Lori?
Yeah, I can work with Ray, and we can combine them all, and we can provide a list so that the board can see the positions by function.
Is that satisfactory to you?
Yeah, that's fine. Do you want the spreadsheet?
Yeah, thank you.
I have mine.
Do you have anything else, Adrian?
Nope.
Nope. All right, can you go back to the other side?
Should we vote on it?
Oh, yeah, we got to vote on that. Okay, so we're going to vote on from 1,700 all the way down to 2314.
Which is the sum total of the 34,022,
225.
Right.
224. Yeah.
That's up.
All right.
Any other questions about it? No? So all those in favor of those reductions from 1,700 down to 2314 for a total of $34,224, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Opposed? All right, so that's approved.
Thank you. Did we vote on the after-school enrichment? We did that? Or no? We just talked about it.
I thought so, yeah.
Yeah. The other one up high is the electricity. And Mike picked up on this. And I know there were some emails. So maybe, are you there, Mike?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Did that, are we under the same understanding now? Is the electricity number in a negative 200? Is that correct?
It's a reduction of a negative, so it's a positive. We added 200,000. So it went from 1,775,727 to 1,975,727. So a double negative is the positive. So when you reduce the negative, you got a
Did
positive.
we actually, I thought we were just going to reduce it, and then we ended up not reducing it.
Now we
So I
added
was under
it.
the understanding that we just stuck with the same number. That we,
No, we went back to February 21st, where it was requested to add that and voted on.
yeah, but in the, let me skip down here to the function. I mean, in the approved budget, it shows, what one's, do you remember what function it is?
Okay. It's 2510, and it's line 631.
2510?
2510.
All right, yeah, so 631, yeah, so what was approved in the budget was 1,775, 727. That's what was published in the Red Book.
Okay.
So you're saying we added 200,000 after that?
Yep.
And
You're proposing that we add 200,000.
Well, I think it was already voted on, because I think
No,
we,
I totally disagree with this. It's been zero all along. This is a brand new thing that got in here.
It's not brand new.
It absolutely is.
It's brand new.
Jay, I think you had actually been one of the ones who recommended this. Can you speak up on this, on behalf of this addition to electric? Are you there?
that was my recollection as well, is that we were looking at the actuals for this year, which was trending higher. And I was originally confused when I saw the negative, but to your point, it's a negative reduction, which means we're adding 200,000 to that line. And based on how the election is trending, I think Ray agreed that it would be better because unfortunately for several budget cycles, this line has been underfunded.
That's correct.
We never really adjusted for the new buildings, in my personal opinion, not to mention, the outside forces such as the additions to the electric bill for the COVID relief fund that, we couldn't have even possibly predicted.
Quick question.
Yeah, so,
Mike?
Yeah, I'd like to refer you to the last tracker that we actually did anything with in the meeting. That was the one from 527. We don't have to project that right now. You could if you wanted to. But what it has is it has many different columns, like from our CAL meeting on May 12th to meeting on 519 to 527. And across the board for this electricity one, the reductions are $0. This $200 addition came in through the version that was sent yesterday. The board has not voted on anything since that 221 edition, which was a shocker in the first place. My concern is it's being added to twice, and it just appeared yesterday in the version that you sent out. It is a problem. We did not discuss it at any of the recent meetings. And you can check it. Just check that Excel sheet that Ray had. It also has our votes. You can say we didn't vote on it, and it was 0. Actually, we did vote on it, and it was 0.
I have the spreadsheet ready to project if anyone wants to look at it.
So we voted on a 0 increase or reduction for that.
0.
It's been 0 across the board. I'm looking at it right now.
Not a proposed to add.
Yeah, I'm looking at a spreadsheet too, and on COW 512, it's 0.
Right.
We use 0,
So-
though, as a placeholder if we already added or subtracted something, so we wouldn't put it back again.
All right.
But now we're trying to put it back again.
Well,
It's your budget, take it up.
yeah, but I just want you to be aware that by adding it in, we're going to be safer.
Yeah, how did it get?
How did it just get back in?
Not arguing with you, Mike, it was put in because it was approved on 2/20, we wanted to reflect the true cost of what the budget numbers were.
Okay. Thank you, Ray. That's what I was getting at. The 221, that's February 21st, our approved budget went out, I think on the date on it, the budget book is February 27th. That's what's already in, that addition is already in the budget, okay? Now, in this one, it looks like, according to it, it has us all of a sudden trying to add another $200,000 after the original budget process. This is my problem. It has not been part of the rescission discussion, and it was actually voted on last time as 0. Where it came in was entirely unilaterally by staff, and it's a complete surprise and shock to me.
8-0, no adjustment. Okay. So the 200,000 is already been accounted for.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. So, okay, so we have a record of a vote 8-0 to leave that as 0. We can look into why it is that it popped in again. Again, we can do whatever we want with it.
Yeah. You just.
I'm happy to make this 0. Of course, it changes lots of other things. But if we want to make this 0, let's make it 0. If we want to do what's being represented is that the $1.9 million, or almost $2 million, is the more prudent figure. Okay, and had we known this back in February, et cetera, so all we're really doing here is going over it again. If we just don't want to go over it again, then let's just move on.
And if you want to put it as a 0, what we can do is reduce the health benefits estimate to 1.14432. So we just won't,
So just for the record, this is the tracker that exited the 527 meeting. And so over on the left here, in this box, that's the $200,000 that we added for the electricity during the finalization of the February budget.
Yep, that's what we were saying.
Right, and then you can see across the board here, all the adjustments in this tracker were zero. And
Because we
then
didn't want to put it in again, so.
Right.
Yeah.
So now, to what, if I understand correctly, that you're proposing an extra $200,000 into that account now, in this tracker, in the new tracker that we just had up that Ray had up.
Right.
Ray, my
We already put it
understanding
in.
is that,
You already put it in.
Right, it's already here.
It's two different $200,000.
Right, there's two lumps.
We upped it by 200,000 because at the time we thought that was a prudent number, a prudent compromise, and crossing our fingers that maybe it'll go up, but maybe not as much, et cetera. So forget that one.
Okay.
That one's already in the number, right?
Yeah, that one's already built in the number. The question
that's in the
now is,
1775, 727?
Yeah.
is it a good idea to budget a higher figure? If we don't think so, then let's just move on. Put a zero there like we had last time. It was already voted on, move on.
And then we can take it off the health benefits.
All right, Jay, did you have something, Adrian?
Yeah, I was just going to clarify my recollection, because I did a whole bunch of the math when there was a counselor that said to cut that much out of. So I remember that, I mean, sometimes my memory escapes me, but I don't think we ever added money after the approved budget. We did have the option of taking off a certain amount of money, and then there was another amount. It was lowered, but then we ended up taking out none. So to my recollection, it still should be the 1.775.
Okay.
Unless we
Decide
choose to
to
do
change.
something new,
Decide to
as
add.
Dean was saying. So
Yeah.
I think up to this point got us to the 1.775 because last year, I just pulled up the old budgets, this number used to be around 1.2, 1.3 million. And then that's why there was a big, long discussion in February that got it up to the 1.775. And then I
Right.
believe Ray gave us the most updated figures, and we thought we had a 10% cushion, and now it looks like, as of maybe a month ago, when Ray explained to us, we had maybe a 5% increase from what we think this year's actual is.
Yes, okay.
So we're
Your
closer.
estimate right now is probably going to end somewhere around the 1.7.
Yeah, so that's my recollection too, is that the number kind of,
In defense of what you gentlemen and ladies are all saying, if the legislation passes, you may see a relief on some of your delivery charges, which may at least hold it at the 1.7.
Okay.
So that's why I said, if you wanted to take the 200 back out, and this was something, and this does, I just validated while everybody was talking, I went back into Peter's main budget book, and he did move it in, so my mistake, I apologize. It is in the 1.775.
Okay.
So if you wanted to take it out, you can.
Okay.
All right, Jay?
Still, I'm going to caution, you may still be a couple of $100,000 short, but instead of them a $400,000, you might fall short this year, $500 this year.
Thank you, Ray. Jay?
Well, while people are apologizing, I apologize as well. To be honest with you, I don't recall a budget season that lasted 6 months. I thought this was a restatement of an adjustment that we had already made. And had voted on earlier, but now it does appear that it was done before the final budget. I still am concerned. Ray, you said that with your encumbrances, you're saying we're going to come in at 1.7 in the current year?
Ray, did you hear what Jay said?
Yeah, I put myself, I'm sorry. Hang on 1 second. Let me just go back and pull that file that I just got.
He did say something
I
about...
don't want to go a third year. I don't want to go a third year with an underfunded electricity account.
Right. And that's why you suggested adding money to that account.
The original time.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I think but my timeline obviously is confused. On when we took that reduction.
You're currently 500,000 in the hole with an encumbrance of about 350,000. So, but again, those are with delivery charges that are 160% of the actual
There's a
fees.
lot, I remember a lot of conversation.
All right, so really the question is, so we can move this along, the question really is, do we want to add, like Dean says, do we want to add the $200,000 or do we not?
And my question would be, where would that $200,000 come from? The health,
Yep,
the health insurance reserve?
I think so.
Okay, which,
Point of order?
Wait 1 second.
No, point of order?
yeah,
What is
water
it?
overrides. Sorry.
So if we're going to consider adding anything or change this number at all, since it was voted on at our last meeting, is at 8-0 unanimous vote, someone would have to move to reconsider, and then we'd have to vote that in. I don't know if that's majority
What are we moving
or
to?
not, but anyone
we
could
ever
do that,
voted on it.
and then we could discuss it, and then we'd change the number. But it's already been voted on, so the number of record right now is $0.
Right.
Has to be reconsidered to do anything about it.
Correct.
Procedurally, that's correct. Yeah.
All right. Do we need to vote on reconsidering before we talk about it, or what? Because
I
I
want to be
think,
completely clean, yes.
Yeah.
okay, so does anybody want to reconsider the number?
I'll make a motion to reconsider.
I'll second.
Okay. So let me write this down, so
That'd be
just in case
two-thirds.
Joan asks me, from the agenda. Okay. Motion to reconsider what, the 200,000?
Reconsider the electricity adjustment.
Not the 200,000, but to reconsider,
zero.
to reconsider the approval of zero adjustment.
For electricity.
There we go. That one.
Do I have a second?
Was that me? Or was that you?
I'll second it, yeah.
Dean, okay, to electricity.
Oh, I made the motion.
Yeah, you made the motion.
You just clarified it for me. Thank you.
Ian and Dean. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Ian.
Well, so, yeah, I just wanted to know if
Oh,
we-
wait. All those in favor?
Oh, to reconsider, right. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
That's a discussable motion.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so on the reconsider, I'm not opposed to reconsidering, but what I am bothered by is that this change happened between meetings from the administration with no notice. It was just a new number in the spreadsheet, not even talked about as a bullet point. I really don't like that process. It doesn't give us time to prepare. When I found out about it, I was shocked, and I was just hoping it was an error. I still don't know if it is or not, but I definitely do not like how the information has been given, and it didn't give me much time to consider this. Therefore, I don't know if I would what I would vote on this, because we haven't had time to prepare or have information about it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Michael. Jay?
All right, so let me see if I can get this straightened. The board has never voted to take this additional action. So aren't we basically saying this was a clerical error?
Yes.
And so why would we need to vote to reverse a clerical error?
That's
No,
not what
we're not.
doing. No.
The original sheet reflects the will of the board.
That's not what we're doing.
So why would we have to take a vote on a Scrivener's error?
I just fixed it.
Bev?
Go ahead, Ian.
If I could just, so my understanding of the situation as it stands is that we've already acknowledged it was a clerical error, and Ray's making the adjustment to revert back to the number that was approved in the 2026 budget. And what we're discussing right now is whether or not we actually do want to add that extra $200,000 in here to make it a 1.9 number officially. Is that everyone else's understanding?
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Okay.
I would add it, we are not wedded, I am ignoring the negative $200,000 figure. I submit that we are not wedded to any particular number at all. We could propose $50,000, $5,000, $1, $1 million, whatever we think would be prudent. The vote currently, the motion currently is whether or not we should revisit the issue of upping the electricity
The
figure.
zero adjustment.
Yeah. whatever we voted, I mean, we already, apparently, we're on record as having voted on leaving it alone. So now we're voting on whether or not we should revisit the issue. Once we vote yes, if we vote yes on it, then we can have all sorts of proposals. I am ignoring the $200,000 figure. It seems to be confusing the heck out of everybody. So I'm open to discussing any other number, and 200,000 if that's proposed. Whatever's prudent, whatever we think is a good idea.
Adrian?
Just for the clerical side of it, if the function 1700 was adjusted also as part of this, because it looks like my records from the last meeting, well, from what you emailed us, there's a lower number than this 1.344. So can we put that back wherever it was
So,
as well? So if we're going to make the 200 zero,
right.
because that was an error, can we put the health benefits back to wherever it should be?
They are.
And then if you want to talk about electricity
What-
again, we should do that.
Can you read that number for me, Ray, to make sure, because it's kind of small?
332.
Say that again?
1,144,332.
Okay, got it.
And it balances on the bottom.
Okay, good. Thank you.
1,144,000?
This is for the health,
Okay.
the health benefits? That's
Yeah,
Yep.
health benefits.
Because the 527 document shows 1,237,426.
Because we added, you asked me to bring back more reductions, and actually Mike Whitney had given us some suggestions. So
Okay.
you're on this live sheet to get it to zero, to get it to that bottom line number. So there are
Oh, so
those
that-
things that are highlighted that made the change, yeah.
Okay, so let's move on so we can get through this in a timely fashion, if you don't mind. All right, so back to the fuel.
The motion is whether or not we should reconsider the adjustment to electricity.
Okay. All those in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So let me see, who do we have? Did I write that down? Motion. Okay, so we have, who's aye?
I'm
Ian?
in favor.
Dean?
Jen, I think, had her hand up.
Jen? What are you saying, Adrian? No? Bev? Anybody else aye?
Anybody online?
Jay? How are you voting, Jay? To be considered a zero adjustment to electricity?
No, I'm going with Ray's learned observation that the number is correct as we previously approved. So I'm a nay on this motion.
You're a nay. Adrian's a nay. Andrea, how do you vote?
I'm a nay, you know. Who's going to let the bloomer lights up?
Okay.
It's one way to look at it.
And Mike, go? Mike, how do you vote, Mike?
I don't know.
No. And am I?
Matt hasn't chimed in.
Okay, wait 1 second. I got to write this down, so you got to give me a minute. Matthew?
I'm going to have to abstain. I'm just not clear enough.
All right, so he abstains, so that motion fails because it's 4-4-1.
It remains a zero.
Okay, so it remains a zero. Okay. All right, so let's go.
Can you see the screen? I put it back up again. Can you see it?
Yep. Got it.
Okay.
So does that change our bottom line number, or is that just?
We're still,
It does. Doesn't it?
Still clear.
we're good.
Took it out of benefits.
Yeah, we took it out of the benefits, so now we've done the
We
number.
Put it back into the benefits.
You just put it back in the
Yeah.
benefit? Okay, so you just did the double switch?
Yep, yep.
Revert back to,
Which-
okay, got it. I see.
That makes me happy because I didn't like it so big either. Anyway.
Well,
Oh, that's what you say now. Okay. So we're back to the flip side of the paper. I think we did 2201. So now it's central office, 2313, function code, and the object code is 114, and the reduction is $43,350. You want to explain that?
I think I just did.
You did?
I think I had. I explained all of these here,
We're in
except for software.
Business office now.
Yeah.
2313 is business.
Oh.
I got
So that is a resignation that was recent, and we're not filling the position at this time.
Ah, that's the mystery one, Michael.
And that resignation was official?
Yep,
Been submitted and accepted?
yep, and they're gone.
So we voted on that already.
No.
That was pending.
Yeah,
That was in the blue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Put it in blue.
And the software, 22, the function code is 2210, and the object is 612.
Oh, can I just ask a quick question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to go back. Ray, from your experience in the business office, is it okay to lose an FTE? Do you think that it'll be more stress on the business office, and will they be able to handle the workload that much of the board keeps putting on you?
Oh, he's out of here.
He's headed to the islands.
And the new business manager may so think about it as your new business manager's listening to this.
What do you say?
I think once everybody gets up to speed, it'll be, we might be running a little bit deep down from there for a while so we can get the cross training. I know there's a new hire, I'm checking out references tomorrow for a potential replacement for one of the other people that left. So we're running short-handed right now, so but we're going to, we're slowly getting back up to speed. We're redistributing some of the workload as well, so, I think it'll be challenging, but I think, once everything gets structured properly, then, Rita will do a good job in doing that, and we get the cross training done that's needed.
I don't think she's liking the words challenging. and
I would have to say, though, Ray, I have to say, though, to commend your department, we do have very strong people, and even some of the new people that we've added on have really risen to the occasion. And so I think that we're in good shape with the people that we do have hired and the ones that we're about to hire.
We're doing good work, and I think, to be honest with you, once, and I know you're 2 years away from this, but once you move toward Munis, and you'll find the system will be doing much more work for you, and there'll be far fewer annual journal entries that are required. I can tell you that, I guarantee it. So the system will actually do the job. Where it won't be so manually interviewed.
all right. Well, I would say if she gets into the position and sees that she needs help, please
Let
feel
us
free
know.
to let us know. Okay?
Please.
Please.
Yeah.
You know, if you see you need an extra person in there, please
Write that down.
let us know. Okay?
It's recorded. Our words are on record, so you can pull stuff on YouTube. Just to finish a timestamp.
Finish my thing out since I was talking to Ray.
Like you said this at this date, and this time.
I'm sorry, Adrian.
No, it's all right. Yeah, I feel less comfortable about this just because, I mean, it seems to me like a year ago we were talking about maybe needing another person in the business office, and it seems like it's going to be a much different business office. But to me, it seems like reducing this FTE might be a little bit premature based on, our history with the business office. So I don't necessarily support this, but.
Question.
Okay.
So if we wanted to keep this funding in there, how could we compensate for that elsewhere?
Health savings reserve keeps going up and down.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the cushion area.
Yeah.
And are we procedurally able to add a position mid-year?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we could do that.
So if, in contingency, if it had to happen and you felt an overwhelming need to replace this position, then we could make that happen.
Jay?
If needed. It'd be a board action. It'd have to come through us, right?
Well,
We'd have to find the money.
Susan action.
The money would come out of the health
Yeah.
area, like that that fund. We just, and that's
Health
essentially
slush
like
fund.
functions as our contingency fund at this point,
Up to a point.
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we've been forced, that's what we've been reduced to do. That's what we've been reduced to do.
yeah.
Now, we try to do it above board, we try to have a contingency line,
Yeah.
but we were, put in this position, so we have to manage the best we can with what we got.
All right, let's move on. Jay?
Yeah, I agree with Adrian here. My concern is, I know in 2 years, when we get to Munis, that perhaps we'll be better, but Ray, won't there be some conversion? Aren't we going to need extra staff when we convert over? And we're still in the middle of a
Operational review.
Unless that's done,
And the audit
it
will
just
be
seems
going through.
counterintuitive to me to be cutting the business office with two major projects looming. And I agree with Ian that as it has over the years, the reserve unfortunately has become our contingency.
Yeah.
But I can't vote to reduce FTEs in the business office until we write a check.
Okay. Matthew? Matthew?
Excuse me, I just had muted myself. I have to trust the administration on this. That's an operational issue. I am quite concerned about leaving this position unfilled. I presume you've determined the reason for the resignation. We've lost two positions recently. You're hiring one. I'll let this one go. We need to understand why people are resigning, and there need very good reasons for it. But please look at that as well and see if there's anything that you can glean that would help us avoid future resignations. As far as this, I'll trust your judgment, Susan, but I would personally dissuade you from not filling this position.
Okay, Mike?
Thanks. This is slightly off topic, but it's quick. I just want to make sure at some point we go back and we're going to have to reconsider the truck because the number's now different because it's just the exact number instead. And also, let's make sure we have a clear vote on any reduction we're taking tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Ian, go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I'm just reflecting on my colleague's comments on the matter of the business office and thinking on, it is a long stretch between here and Munis, which we still haven't officially voted on, I don't think. But long story short, I think I'm in favor of I'd be inclined to keep it and have you, as you come on, to have that, that you have the funding for an extra position, and that you could ask for a hire without having to go through the board to pull the money in. I'd rather have the money there ready for you to use to support you as you come in. And if it's not needed, if it proves not to be needed, then we could reallocate elsewhere throughout the year. But the more I'm thinking on this, I think we do need to be prepared for extra support in the business office at this point in time.
Okay, Dean?
Yeah, so I'm hearing two slightly different things. I want to make sure that the administration walks away, that we don't just deal with the dollar figure, but the administration walks away with a clear sense of where we'd like them to go. I hear, so one theme is we should budget for the position just in case. And the other theme I hear is, you folks are foolish, we need a person in there. Okay, so if we were to vote, let's not cut the number. Let's not have that reduction. What are we telling administration? We're telling them to fill the position, as much as we can tell them what to do anyway. Are we telling them to fill the position, or are we saying, here's money, if you need, then it's there? Because what I don't want is a situation where we vote yes, and for different reasons, and then when administration doesn't fill the position, that's now a knock on the administration. We told you, we funded it, why didn't you fill the position? Well, because I was told the business office didn't. Now we're going to have a tap dance later. I just want to be clear what it is if we vote yes on this, leaving it alone, what it is we're expecting the administration to do. To just have the funding available, or to have the funding available and to fill the position at the same time.
Well, I would be hoping that if we didn't fund the position and Rita thought that she needed an extra person, that she comes back and says, we need that extra person.
Right.
And we fund the position.
Right, that's the third option.
That's the clean-cut way to do it,
I
instead of
understand.
fund the position.
That's the third option. So that's three things. There are going to be people saying, I'm happy to leave the reduction in, and if we need the money, we'll find it, or no reduction, and have the money, have it funded in case. And then the third position is not just have the money, but we'd like administration to hire somebody right now, because you're going to need it. So I want to make sure we go into this thing, what are people expecting of the administration? Because I don't want people saying, well, we told you to hire, we told you to hire, and you didn't hire anybody.
Right. Or what did you do with the money? I want to see where
What did you do with the money? Where did it go?
Where did it go? You spent it. Go ahead, Ian.
All right, so thank you for that clarification, Dean, and I would clarify my position now. Would be I would like to have the funding ready for the position, identified for the position of the business office, but since we have a new business director coming in, I want to make sure the business director feels supported and has all the tools necessary to succeed, and know that this is available, ready to go. And if it, does not to be filled, I don't want to overstep the board's position at this point and command to fill a position when the director just got. I mean, have you started yet? No, right. First day is the 23rd, correct?
But she's coming visit.
Right. So I would like
to know us.
Right, and so I'm gonna you have to get on board and kind of take an assessment of where you are, what assets you have, what liabilities there may be, and where you want to shift your resources, and that's going to take some time, and I would rather that at least. For me, that I would want this to be ready for you, but I don't want it going anywhere else until you say so. Until you say, okay, I'm confident I do not need this extra position. I've got this, or you know what, and this extra position. I would like to move forward with it and move forward with a hiring process. And that all could happen in the next 3 months, over the span of the summertime, which, we're not planning to meet as frequently over the summer, so I would like to give her as much autonomy as possible, and as much agency as possible. So I'm not commanding to fill it, but I would like to make sure she has a full toolbox ready to go, whatever you need.
Because actually, that's Ray's saying.
Right, but Ray's headed to the islands. He's already bought his ticket.
So.
Thank you, Ray.
It costs $43,350.
Problem solved.
All right, Mike. You have something to say, Mike? Go ahead.
Yeah, just briefly. I just note that this reduction has been in our tracker, since at least the May 12th meeting. And I know there's more information out, which office it's in, but for me, the fact that was considered and has been in many versions, I'm inclined to keep it in myself.
Okay. All right, well, let's take a vote on this $43,350. Just let me write this down real fast. Okay.
Clarification, a yes vote would be voting to maintain the deduction.
Correct.
Yes to maintain the reduction. No. No would be to keep it in.
To zero it out.
To zero out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
To keep the funding.
Yeah.
Explicit.
We're in the upside down right now. First vote.
Yes is to
Is to
maintain the
maintain the
43,000.
reduction.
Yeah.
Maintain the reduction.
No is to.
Is to maintain,
Zero it
is to
out.
maintain
So
the
the
fund.
no, the O and no becomes zero.
Eliminate the
Zero.
reduction.
To maintain the funding.
To zero out.
Yeah.
Take it out.
Sometimes, Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Ready? So, Ian, a yes or no?
I am a no.
You know. You-
Not in favor of maintaining the reduction.
Okay. Dean?
Yes.
Yes. Adrian?
No.
Jen?
No.
Mike?
Yes.
Matthew?
No.
Andrea?
I have no idea where they are. All I know is I say we fund it.
Defunded, so you're a no. Jay?
No.
No. Bev? No. All right.
There you go, your
There you
first.
go. All right, you keep that person, and if you don't need it, don't spend the money. We'll be looking to see where you.
We do have a non-lapsing fund. Have I told you about
You
that?
have a non-lapsing fund.
So Ray, since this is a live document, can we take that 43,350 if it's the will of the board and put that into our health savings so we can zero out?
Well, that's two different votes.
Oh, sorry. I mean, get back to our balance.
Yeah,
I know. I'm just seeing what it looks like.
Okay. The next one is software.
Well, before we go to software, I don't, maybe I missed it, but did we actually vote on the enrichment one? I feel like we didn't, but I'd like to be wrong on that. And the same thing for the one after. Like, we need votes.
Did we vote on, what did you say?
The $17,000 reduction in enrichment, I can't remember.
I talked about it, Mike. That's
I
all.
don't know. I don't think we.
Right, but we didn't actually run the vote.
Okay, let's vote on that now then.
It's cleared out.
Okay,
And it'd be the same one for, I think there's another one after that.
Sure.
Same one.
Yep.
the same one for special ed.
No, the psychologist, which was,
Special ed.
Yeah.
She's on the special ed.
but it was just
Okay.
a vacant.
So all those in favor of the reduction of 17,000 for the after-school enrichment, let's go. Reduction. Ian,
I'm opposed.
opposed. So you're a no? Okay. Dean, you're
Yes.
afraid of the reduction?
Yes.
Okay. Adrian?
No.
No. Jen?
Yes.
What was her vote? I can't hear.
Yes, she's for the reduction. Your mic's not on, Jen. Matthew,
Yes,
for the reduction?
for the reduction.
Okay. Jay?
Yes.
Michael?
No.
Beverly?
I'm a yes.
Andrea.
And I got Andrea. Oh, yeah, I put Adrian. Andrea?
No.
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 Okay, that's Adrian. Okay. Am I missing?
5 to 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Are we a full 9?
Yep.
Yep.
You
It
are.
passes. They're reducing that after-school reduction by 17,000. We have 5 reductions and 4 no's. Okay?
Closer than I thought it'd be.
Yeah. All right, and then let's go to the special ed, the psychologist.
Bev,
Yep.
hey, Bev, can I just say that if that grant doesn't come through, the administration can come back to the board. Because I know that that's for the high school.
Right.
And they're going to apply for that grant again. If that doesn't come through, then you can come back to the board.
Okay,
We put an asterisk on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll remember.
When are you expecting to hear about that grant?
Usually, we hear about it like September, August, September. Usually those grants come through.
I'm going to switch my vote to a no, because I don't like that. I like the no for sure.
The no on which one?
No,
But I have to tell you that we have lots of
Because
stipends
we're
for
dependent
clubs
on the
at the
grant.
high school. We
Right.
we do
I don't
not
want to
have
depend on
stipends for
chances.
clubs at the elementary level. That's why it's K-8.
Wait, we're talking about 65,000?
No, I wouldn't add it.
17,000.
I was going to say, we haven't
17,000.
voted it yet, so how can you switch a vote we haven't taken? But okay,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand. So now it's basically
Four.
Yeah.
It's
failed.
reversed.
It fails.
Yep.
So that
I
zeroes
should bring a
out.
pencil instead.
Yeah, that zeroes out. I'm sorry.
Not zero out, you keep it in there, right? Or no? You're
No,
gonna
we're not
zero.
reducing it.
Okay, okay.
So it zeroes
I
out.
think Mike was trying to say something.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so for cleanness of this, I won't discuss it. I think that maybe you should make a motion to reconsider since you're on the prevailing side, and then we could revote.
Joan, with all these motions, the GEA, they make fun of us because we got all these different motions. I mean, make a motion to reconsider. I mean, okay. I make a motion to reconsider.
Well, I mean, Mike has a point.
I know,
Because
but-
this is actually, as Ian said, closer than he thought. It's 5-4.
Okay.
People who thought that they were in the majority are now going to find themselves in the minority, and one of us could raise a stink.
Right. This is true. This is true.
All right, well, let's get going with this. Okay, I make a motion to reconsider the reduction of 17,000.
Second, Thomas.
Can I put
I
in a
hope Joan
discussion
has this,
point?
because I'm not writing all this
Madam
stuff
Chair,
down all the time.
Can I just put in a point? I just want to explain also that we have stipends in both middle school and high school, but especially in high school for clubs. So we have extra dollars that are being spent at the high school level. We do not have that at the elementary level. And we do not have as much at the middle school. So when it's a K-8 enrichment, we have really done well with that $38,000 number. So, because there are clubs, there are stipends at the high school level, so it's not like the kids won't get it. But with the 21st century grant is at the middle school, but we're hoping we get it back at the high school, and that would be additional clubs and things. So, I just wanted to put that out there. You guys vote how you want to vote, but
You know, I'll withdraw my motion. I'll stick to the reduction. Be done with it. Okay? Moving right along.
What if I don't want to withdraw my second?
Call a recess, or come over in the hallway.
If you withdraw a motion, then I'll withdraw my second.
Have to reconsider your
right.
non-withdrawal.
and then I think we have software, and that's a happy story.
Well, we got to vote on the special ed. I don't think we voted on that.
I think we should call it psychologist.
It is a psychology.
There's a special ed above.
And it was an unfilled position. So,
Okay. Let's vote on the reduction of the school psychologist for $65,000. I'll start with, I'm going to put yes for reducing, no to keep, okay? Yes, reduce.
Usual.
No keep, okay? All right, Ian.
Yes.
Okay. Dean?
Yes.
Adrian?
I'm just because of what you just said, no FTE change, or there was a retirement?
no,
It's
this
an
was
unfilled position.
extra funds for an unfilled position.
All right.
It never got filled.
All right,
So
so
we don't-
no FTE change. All right.
Right.
Yes for reduction.
All right, Adrian. Jen?
I'm yes.
Okay. Michael?
Yes.
Matthew?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Andrea?
Yes.
And Beverly, yes, okay.
Unanimous.
Okay. All right, let's go down the software. Did I do everything, Michael? Go
I
ahead.
think we got that next one.
Clarification, could we take away the yellow for the ones we voted on?
Yeah, that'd be good.
That's a great idea.
That's a good idea.
What did you say, Mike?
Oh, we've got that next one down, teaching and learning. I can't see the numbers. There's something
Okay.
like
It's $36,050. I think we voted on that.
Yeah, we did do that one.
Yeah, I have no, I don't have an hour for that. You're right, Mike.
Yeah, we voted on the one below it.
Yeah.
I move to reduce teaching and learning by, was it 36,000 and $50.
That's it.
Second, Thomas.
I haven't been asking for motions for this. I've just been...
It's okay.
Okay. All right.
Could we get a clarification again on what we were going to be eliminating functionally?
You're not eliminating anything. It's been, it's a grant facilitator, and it was adjustment due to the grant, paying for some of it, so.
So the grant covered the grant
Grant
writer.
covered, yeah. She's
The grant covered the salary
for the grant facilitator.
for the grant facilitator. Okay, so again, a yes means to reduce, and a no means to keep in. All right?
Yes.
Dean.
Yes.
Dean's a yes. Dean.
Yes.
Adrian.
Yes.
Jen.
Yes.
Matthew.
Yes.
Jay.
Yeah.
Mike.
Yes.
Andrea.
Yeah.
Beverly. Yes. Hold on a second. Okay. Thank you all.
Now, this is a nice story for software, because we, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I move to reconsider the reduction of $75,000 for the truck.
Second, Thomas.
All right, you're going to the truck.
And my rationale is just that now we've got the exact number, I think it's slightly bigger, and just to have it, our vote aligned with the numbers for this year, just vote on the, I mean, so that's reconsider that, and then I'd like us to vote on the $75,329. It's not much money, I just want it to be consistent.
So your motion is to reconsider the...
Truck.
Yeah, we approved $75,000 reduction for the truck, but now in this spreadsheet, I mean, it is the actual line item in the object code.
Okay.
It's slightly different, it's $329 more, but the reason I'm reconsidering is so that we can then approve the exact number, so next year it doesn't look like we tried to buy a truck for $329. I wouldn't want to ride in that truck.
Okay. Do I have a second for that?
A second, Thomas.
Okay, second here. All right, Dean.
So another possible path is to just leave the vote alone and vote on an additional $329 reduction. Or is that too confusing?
I personally think this is cleaner.
Okay.
It's just an adjustment.
So that's the thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
That way it's all together.
Any other discussion on this? All right. So the motion is to reconsider the $75,000 for the truck. Did I get that right, Mike?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Opposed? Abstentions? All right. Approved.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, did you get the numbers? I think that was unanimous. Sorry. I didn't want to walk over getting the numbers on the vote. Sorry.
Oh, no. Everybody voted for it.
Okay. Then I move to reduce function code 2510, article 731 for the truck by $75,329.
Okay.
Second.
Okay.
Bev.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm opposed to this. I wanted to keep this thing in there the whole time. I believe we need to maintain our fleet at this time. You know, we're already in arrears on that. We're one truck down, and if we don't replace this truck, then we run the risk of being 2 trucks down in the coming year. We're already behind the 8 ball on this one. So, you know, I would like to see this funding restored, and that we move forward with replacing the truck.
Any other comments? Jen?
We may have an option to be able to replace the truck without adjusting this. So when Ray presented last time, I know it went from 500 to 200, so there's an option there, like if we're coming in favorable right before the budget closes, we can purchase that truck, because
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding.
So we're supposed to come in like 200,000 favorable projected, so we could potentially purchase it before the end of this year. Yesterday's finance meeting, there's a potential of us looking at enterprise or district-wise funding that may be available for us to purchase the truck. So there are a couple of options that we may be able to pull funds to purchase this truck. I am totally in agreement with you that we need to buy this truck, because if something breaks, I don't want to be SOL. And we can't be dependent on the goodwill. Even though the town has been helping us out, we need to be able to clean. So I do support that aspect of it, but there are options potentially available.
Any other discussion about? Go ahead, Ian.
Clarification?
Go ahead. Well, Ian first, and then you, Matthew.
Oh, okay, I thought that was Ray. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of depending on chances, and that's, same as with the enrichment stuff. That's why I was voting that way. But I do appreciate the fact that it's on the radar screen, so that's good to know. Philosophically, though, this just reminds me of the conversation that, that point that Dean's brought up a couple times, and, in the past, like, there was more infrastructure costs covered by the town, which would free up the Board of Ed budget to be more directly targeted towards students and staff. And I, for one, would love to see a return to that philosophy. But this being the case, since we do have to handle our own stuff, I think we do need to handle it. But I'm glad to hear that there is. So, even if this vote doesn't go the way that I would hope, I'm glad to know that it's on the radar screen, that we have some possibilities. So thank you for the work on the committee looking at that.
Well, we really didn't look at the truck.
No, you identified funds that were possibly could be allocated that direction.
Right.
Now, was that actually? I haven't had a chance to review the meeting. Did you actually identify the truck as a priority?
No,
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
I thought I mentioned it.
No.
I didn't mention it? Oh, crud.
Fund could have
Okay.
truck, but there could be non-lapsing funds.
He's a no. That's it. Is anybody
I'm
else?
still gonna. I'm good. I'm done. I said what I got to say.
I thought I mentioned it.
Any other comments?
I was waiting.
Go ahead.
I'm inclined to vote no about a change, but I'm open to being convinced otherwise. And so my question is, if we vote to undo the reduction, and we're fortunate enough to have funds to buy it this year, is there an assurance that that money will go back to the health reserve? Or am I missing something?
I think you can always contribute to the health
Yeah, you can
reserve.
always add back to the health reserve.
I'm asking you more than you can. I mean, what is the intention for these funds if we appropriate $75,000 for a new truck that we turn out not having to need in next year's budget? What is the intention of how we would use those funds?
I mean, I would rather say that we would earmark non-lapsing funds or end-of-the-year funds for the truck, but that's just my thinking. It's up to you all.
How much money in that non-lapsing fund?
Well, we
As
don't
of
know.
right now, it's all
We
been
have to get to
claimed.
the end of the year.
It's all. I was understanding that we're running at zero because it had already been identified for the nurses of this past year. But depending on how we close out on June 30th, there may be something left.
Right, that's what I mean.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's so. As of right now, we don't have anything besides what's on our ledger from month to month, and that's been getting thin.
Yeah.
So
If it's the sense of the board, and I'm not asking for a vote, but if it's the sense of the board that if we did not need that 75, that we go into non-lapsing fund, I could support that.
All right.
Well, I mean, I think that is exactly what the non-lapsing fund is
I'm
for.
asking about the board as a group.
Yeah.
What's the consensus? Is there consensus?
Mike?
Well, if we're talking about lapsing fund, I'm really concerned we're going to be in the negatives. We're closing out this year. So just please put that into, I mean, I identified at last meeting that, there was probably $200,000 in play through student activities that haven't been charged yet, but have to be spent.
But we also we're going through those encumbrances right now, so there's a lot of work still to be done.
All right.
Yeah, but we were only ahead by 200,000, and I think I identified basically 200,000 that are likely to be expended that aren't on there. So, anyway, going on the non-launching fund before it's there.
Yeah.
All right, so with the understanding that if we have money left over, that the money for the truck goes back into the non-lapsing fund, whatever Matthew said.
Can't do that this year. I can't take the money from this budget, and move it into non-lapsing until the end of next year. If there's money left. Understood.
Right.
Oh, okay. All right, so let's go back to the motion. The motion to remove the $75,329 was made by Mike and seconded by Adrian. So yes, to remove, in.
Right.
So
To
yes,
maintain the reduction is the yes vote.
reduced by 75,329, that's a
Right.
yes vote.
That's a yes
Okay,
vote.
so then I'm a no.
You're a no. Dean,
Yes.
Adrian,
Yes.
Jen,
I just want to confirm, yes, is to keep the number in here to
Right.
reduce it, correct?
Keep the reduction.
To keep the reduction, okay. Yes.
no, the motion is to remove it, isn't it?
No, the motion is to reduce by 75,329, to vote in favor of a reduction
Yes.
of
That was the
75,329,
motion.
where we previously had a reduction of 75,000.
All Mike's reconsideration was to just get the number corrected, and so it's specific to the 75,329.
Okay. All right, so what are you, Jen?
I'm a yes.
All right. Mike, what are you?
Yes.
All right. Matthew?
Yes.
Jay?
Yeah.
Andrea?
Yes.
Adrian, I got you already. And I'm a yes. Okay.
8-1.
8-1. All right, next. Do we do software? Let's do the software and then see what we have.
Okay, so we had Title I funds that came in a little later and needed to be expended by 85%, or we would lose them at the end of the summer. So we were able to, Anne Marie worked diligently looking at expenditures in software and was able to alleviate this 116,715 from our operating budget and be able to do a multi-year licensing with through Title for some of those softwares. So we can reduce that from the operating budget.
Any questions?
Do you have a motion?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, make a motion.
So I'll move the reduction of $116,715 from function 2210, object code 612.
Second, Thomas.
Let's say that again, Dean, please.
I move a reduction of $116,715 from function 2210, object code 612,
Okay.
as presented to us.
Okay. All right. Any discussion? No? Okay. All right. Go ahead.
So what's changing in the software we bought this year to what we're planning on buying next year as far as like subscriptions or however we buy software?
Well, specific to this,
Sorry.
oh,
Had a thought.
I didn't know, Ray, if you had something to say. Specific to this reduction, we were able to negotiate with our vendors some multi-year contracts, and then instead of purchasing, because it's software for the following school year, we were able to make the purchase using our existing Title I funds that we needed to expend a certain amount for by the end of the year. Does that make sense?
So we're going to have the same, so as far as like software that we're purchasing this year, we're basically going to have maintained on the software line, we're not losing any software?
We're not losing anything now.
That's sort of, so we're just
Paying for it in a different
So
way.
this might be a great thing for there to be an asterisk in the budget that says, because I was looking at this before, and historically we've been spending about $70 or $80 or $90,000 on software, so this number was really big anyway. But it would be nice to say if we're artificially making that number low, not artificially, but we're making it low because of grant funding, it should say that next to it, that we were able to do this because of grant funding.
Right, we can put that in the
If it has to
narrative.
get moved back into our budget later on, when we don't have the grant funding, we have an explanation for why it's a new expense.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, all right, I'll leave it there, thank you.
Anything else about the software? No? Okay, great. All right, all those in favor of the motion to the reduction of $112,715? Again.
116.
116.
116, okay. Nice.
750.
Even better.
Yes.
100, oh yeah, I'll be at 112. Okay, I'll go to, you said yes?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes.
Adrian?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Andrea?
Yeah.
Jay? Jay?
He said yes.
Okay. Mike?
Yes.
Matthew?
Yes.
That boy. Did I forget anybody? Okay, great.
Awesome. And then we take it off yellow once it's voted on. Ray, thank you.
All right, now, Ray, can you fix the numbers so we see where we're at?
They're all finished.
Okay.
There's one vote you didn't take yet.
What's that? Oh, the health? The health benefits?
Before we do that, I think that's probably intended to be our last vote. I'd like to bring up something.
All right, whisper to me first what you want to bring up, and then I'll let you know.
Well, I'll just bring it up. For the student activities, we took a vote on swimming, of course, to vote for zero reductions for swimming, and keep it in a slightly point. But what we still don't have is granular enough information on the student activities like we've had in every other budget year. We don't know for this year what's going to be allocated for any individual activity, any individual sport from the middle school on up through high school. And I know that spreadsheet's out there. It wasn't included in the budget. I've asked for it many times through the budget process, also through this rescission process. I really advocate we need that worksheet to back up the numbers that are in the budget. It's been in every recent budget except this year.
Correct. And I'll let the superintendent answer that because she already gave Adrian and myself the answer to that.
So that had been done on a spreadsheet from about 4 business managers ago. And the formula, from what I understand, Ray, was no longer working. We do have all of the stipends in, that have been in a contract for the teachers.
Yeah, but just tell them, are you gonna get the information?
We are going to, I've asked them to put together a list of all the sports that are running, and I think I gave you an answer that really everything basically ran except wrestling, I think, at the middle school last year. So all those stipends have been agreed on through this year, And we're going to be negotiating with the teachers this fall anyway, so those stipends may even change. But so we will get you some kind of a spreadsheet that will have the sport, the stipends, and any supplies that go along with it, so that you'll see that for every sport.
So you want, like it's on the back of the book, it's the sports, how many people, and the cost of that sport. Is that right, Adrian?
Yeah, more or less just mirror what's in the every other budget like Mike was talking about, except with an addition of how many students are in each sport.
Yeah, we talked
Is
about
that
also
what you're-
students.
What you're thinking, Mike?
Yeah.
Is that what you're thinking, Mike?
I want same level of detail, all the same itemization as it's been in every other budget. And it's not just the sport team, and it's not just high school, right? It's middle school sport, it's high school sport, and it's the student activities with their names. I think that's very important, as we found out from swim team. And it's also important, and this is where I'm going to ask for a reassurance. People have come to be concerned that middle school sports teams, the ones that compete with other sports, for instance, it must be like volleyball,
Interscholastics, you're talking.
soccer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are any of those teams going to be removed for next
No,
year? People are very
no,
concerned about that.
no. Reassure them, nothing has been cut. We're going by what has been agreed on in a teacher's contract. All of those things are still there.
Well, I don't think in a teacher's contract you would agree to field a soccer team at middle school, for instance. That would just be the stipend levels.
Well, that's what we're talking about, so that's what
Yeah.
is for
Mike,
next
I think
year.
the confusion came in when the board started talking about just having intramural sports in the middle school.
Yeah, that's
when
where
we
it came
were, When we were looking for reductions, we started talking about that, but it was never voted on, and we still didn't vote on that. So it's not happening. The sports in the middle school are staying the same.
But I have absolutely no documentation to point to on that because we don't have this detail. I can't say that, hey, well, a personal favorite of mine, badminton, is now going to be a new sport at the high school, which it isn't. But I can't say anything except for, hey, we are going to have swimming. We don't even know if we're having a football team because it's not itemized.
Okay, all right.
So we need that affirmative statement that all the existing teams from this year, all the existing activities from this year that ran this year are funded for next year.
So I am sure that is already put together by the athletic director because he had to put it in the budget. So it's in the budget, but I'll have him give me his spreadsheet, and we'll make sure it aligns.
But we never got any detail. We had to fight to get the detail between pulled out sports and student activities. Do you remember? Because it's lumped in, and it looked very weird. It looked like student activities was unfunded. So at least we got that bifurcated correctly. But we never got the level of detail, and we really needed it earlier. And actually, it probably would have helped through the RTM and town council too.
Okay.
All right, we'll get it to you.
Yeah.
But nothing has been cut.
Yeah, nothing's been cut. If they listen to the tape, they could see the board didn't vote on cutting any of the sports. But those 3 sheets in the back are good to have anyway. Jen. Thank you, Mike.
I think Susan mentioned it, like while I was going to say. Oh,
Sorry. I think Susan mentioned what I was going to comment on anyway. Have the athletic director put the sheet together rather than the business office. But
He
if
has it together because he had to put
yeah,
it together, so I will.
so then.
And I'll have it
can-
mirror the way it's been
Yeah,
done.
then he can just forward it.
Yep. Okay, so Ray, we have to vote on the health insurance line. Where's all my papers now?
The only one not voted on.
All right. And it's 1,187,000.
682.
All right, any discussion on that? So who would like to make the motion for the health insurance? For the health benefits estimate function, 1,700?
Jen would. You haven't made a motion yet.
Huh? I made that big one the whole time. You guys made me read it like 10 times over.
Fine, I'll make the motion. I move we adjust, I move we reduce function 1700 object code 201, also known as health benefits estimate on the spreadsheet, by $1,187,682.
You have a second? Adrian?
I can second
That's not
it.
up on the screen.
Deb, I can second it.
Getting punchy.
Jen, you want a second?
Yeah, sure.
All right, Jen. All right, any discussion on that? No? All right.
Okay, let's do it.
All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, approved.
Yay.
Do you have anything else on this budget? We're all set, right?
Go down to the bottom line. You should approve the final budget number now.
Oh.
Yes.
Did we do that already? No. Okay, I guess we
Oh, yeah,
did.
we have to finish the vote that started all this, right?
Yeah.
Yes, the main motion.
The main motion.
Well, who made the main motion?
And I'll tell you, it was, I made the main motion, and Jen seconded it.
All right, so now we're just going to vote on that motion, right?
Yep, we vote on the motion. Do we have to change any of these dates, or leave the dates the same?
What motion are we voting on right now?
The main one, for
the main one.
Don't we have to amend it?
I need to make an amendment.
Yeah.
Certain reductions is articulated in May 19th.
Yeah, that's what I was just talking about, Matthew.
As articulated at the June 4th, 2025 meeting, budget tracker document as amended, period.
Point of order, we don't need that thing, any of that. We voted the main motion,
Right.
which said we approve the new budget and to be voted on by, or
Right.
voted on by the.
This is not accurate.
Board of Ed. So we don't need to vote on that, we did.
Right. Mike's correct. This motion that's in the agenda is not accurate to what we actually voted on meeting
tonight
on May 27th. We remember we amended the motion in that meeting, and I just don't think this agenda got updated to match that amended motion. Because that amended motion, whatever it said, we did accommodate. We talked about it for a while to get the language right.
Right.
And it was to allow to open up it became an incidental motion that then made these votes the commanding votes.
Yeah, but we still have this motion on the floor.
No, we're good. We voted, that's fine.
Well, we made the motion. We made this motion.
You choose to withdraw the motion and your second accepts to withdraw it, then we finish the business.
Oh, did someone make that motion from tonight? At the start of the meeting, I missed that one.
Yes.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I made the motion. I made the motion so we can discuss the budget.
It just seems like I made it.
Yeah. So Matthew's just amending it for what we did tonight. That's all he's doing.
based on the discussion. For
Based on the
June 4th,
discussion for June
2025.
4th.
Yep.
Because this says,
Please withdraw it. We had a clean motion the last time, and it was just, and someone's got the minutes actually, but it was just to approve the new budget number with reductions as individually voted on by the board.
That was the amended motion.
That wasn't the motion.
That was the amended motion.
Yes, it absolutely was.
We did individual. We used the word individual.
Oh, okay, but we don't have that, well,
Right. This didn't get updated to match the amended motion.
You have a ways to travel, so
okay, I believe you. I believe you.
road.
I believe you. All right, I withdraw my motion then.
Well, it's any
Thank you
second.
so much. We'll talk.
You withdraw it?
Yeah.
The second?
I wasn't the second. Was I the second?
Yeah, you were.
I thought you were. Oh, okay, fine. I withdraw it.
No, you were, Jenna.
Okay, I withdraw.
So what's the total budget the board has adopted? The 9204?
Well, but that's already been that's non-negotiable. That's already
Yeah.
done to us. Well, we were,
Didn't adopt it.
We did.
we adopted the full number, and then we said that we're going to
Let
specify
me ask
the
you this, what's
adjustment.
the harm in doing it again anyway? Is there harm in doing it just to cover our bases?
Well, because it could technically be undone
What?
in one motion.
If we adopt the budget, then,
We were very specific about the individual line items
yeah.
in that motion.
We'd have to vote to reconsider.
All right.
Otherwise, we're like voting on the same item, like within less than, I don't know what it is, 30 days or something. Like, we can't like, just continually vote on the same thing over and over again unless you reconsider. So, yeah. Please just someone look back at the minutes from the last time, and you'll see the exact,
Okay. All right.
I'm going to say goodnight to Rita, and Anne Marie just left, so staff is welcome to hit the road because they have some places to travel.
She's seen
Thank you so much,
Nice
Rita.
meeting you,
Nice
Rita.
meeting you.
Take care.
Are you done with me?
Yeah, we're done with
Yeah, we're
you, Ray.
done. Good
Are-
night.
Rita,
Thank you, Ray.
are you going to come back again? Please do.
Have a good night.
All right. You didn't answer the question?
Where's she located? Susan, where's she located?
Good night.
Colchester.
All right,
Okay,
Dean.
not as far
Go ahead,
as
Dean.
I was just going to make a side comment that from my understanding of ecclesiastical history is that the chief objection against the Anabaptists, now known as the Baptists, is that they kept rebaptizing people and somehow that would undo an earlier baptism. So I'm not really worried about voting on the same thing again. I don't think it's going to undo the first one, if that was your concern.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that
Yeah.
we're doing it,
Well,
that's all.
I mean, we went through all the effort of it and voting on these line by line, and that, I remember that being a main point of contention when we opened up the motion in the last meeting, which, yeah, that's what I thought we were doing with this meeting, was just basically like revisiting that motion. But, yeah, I didn't catch it earlier. I mean,
But we did change some stuff, but it's fine with
right,
me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we just amend the motion now to
Yes.
ratify.
Joan.
I have my minutes in front of me, like read
Go ahead.
for national.
Oh, we can't hear you. Start again, Joan, please. We still can't hear you, Joan.
Okay, I'm going
All right, go ahead.
to amend the motion to read, to reduce the Board of Ed FY '26 budget of 2,000, Lord have mercy,
$2 million.
$2,357,075 according to individually voted reductions voted on by the board to align to the approved town council RTM education funding of $92,004,575.
All right.
I liked it.
All right.
So moved. Thomas.
Good job, Joan.
Thank you, Joan.
Yeah.
Does it show that we actually voted on it, though?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
It's on the document.
Yeah.
Thank you, John.
Thank you,
No, we
Joan.
voted on that
He
motion.
put it on the
Okay.
document.
All right, let's move on. Committee reports. Let's get through this pretty fast so we can get out of here by 9:30. Policy,
Policy is going to be meeting on the 24th. We hope to have a first draft on AI, and we have several other policies that admin wants us to take a look at. Thank you.
curriculum,
I don't have the date of the curriculum meeting in front of me, but we met and discussed the teacher development days, and and Anne Marie gave us her ideas. We had a lot of questions about how it was going to be rolled out, and as far as individual teacher learning or small groups. And Anne Marie is an expert. I believe it was her thesis study was curriculum develop or not curriculum development, PD. So we're very excited about the PD for next year.
And she's really got it lined up for the whole year. Like, I've never
Yeah,
seen this before. She
does.
is
It
like
sounds-
amazing.
We talked about how much money the district spends
Yeah.
on PD, and she is on top of it. So I think we're
so
going
on
to get our
top of
value.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Finance and facilities?
Sure. At this point, we have met twice since the last time that I've made a report. We met on May 6th, and we met last night as well. May 6th, we were blessed with the presence of Ernie Koshmeter, who talked to us about the my goodness, the community eligibility provision having to do with providing meals to the kids. We had Director of Finance report, of course, from Ray. And we had a building and grounds report from Sam talking about various issues, HVAC, adjustments, repairs at CK and NEA. Talked again about EV stations and what to do about those, et cetera. And of course, we hold on one second here. And we met yesterday, and again we had a report on the Treehouse Fund. And that fund currently has about, I think we're projecting something like $750,000 in it. So there was discussion about, are we carrying a lot of money in there, or is it just right, or the usual Goldilocks discussion. There was another Director of Finance report from Ray. We had Sam report on, we had Ernie again talking about CEP. And then we also discussed facilities use rate schedule. That's being updated for the first time, I think, in 7 or 8 years. Some of the adjustments are modest. Some of the adjustments are rather dramatic. The representation by Sam was that we are now in line, or if that's approved, that we're now in line with other, the other facilities in the area. So that's my report.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just go back to curriculum and say I have the date?
Oh, yeah. Missed something?
It was May 5th for the curriculum meeting, and then the June 2nd meeting was canceled.
Okay. Go ahead, Jen.
I'm sorry. What did we get a report on? Oh, we didn't have Ray give a report yesterday? I'm confusing it. I thought we did. Yeah, that's it.
You're talking, I can't hear.
Well, I'm sorry. Yeah. So Jen was correcting me. She was also a member of the committee. Jen was correcting me that in fact we did not have Ray offer a report yesterday. And as I said, I thought he had, and I thought it was a pretty summary sort of a thing. Maybe you're right.
No, Ray said he couldn't do it because of payroll.
Payroll. It was in the middle of payroll.
That's it. Thank you. Now it's all coming back to me. Right. So he was asked to provide a snapshot, and his representation was, if I give you a snapshot, it is so, the numbers are so bent out of shape, you're not really being...
You're in the middle of a payroll.
You're not being
can't
given
do
an
that.
accurate figure. You can get an arithmetically correct figure, but it's meaningless.
Right.
So, because of payroll. Thank you.
Jay, you have something to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to, as I said last night, beat a dead horse. We did talk again about the EV chargers. If we can't find a way to monetize those, we suggested they just be disconnected for the summer.
Yep.
We need to find a vendor who's willing to bring something in. I'm not willing to spend $2,500 every time somebody vandalizes one, unless we can make that a profit center. I know they were installed by the state when we got the bonding for the schools, but I don't think there's anything that says we have to maintain them. And so I think we should go the way of the town and charge for them until we find a way to do that. Just remove the equipment that can be vandalized for the summer.
Okay, thank you, Jay. Ian?
Ad hoc budget procedure committee has not met again yet. We're waiting for the new finance director to come on board and trying to arrange a sit down with them as well as the superintendent to talk about the things.
Okay. The AGSAGA Board of Ed meeting, we talked about, the they asked us to look at the electronic device policy and the attendance policy. They feel that those two policies do not have enough teeth in them, and that we really need to take a look at those two policies, put more teeth in them. So I will make a referral to the policy committee to look over that policy. We talked about the health insurance. Well, the board still hasn't made a difference about the health insurance, but that's on our agenda sometime in the future, I guess. And they're not happy that the board balances their budget with the health insurance reserve. We also talked about Chromebooks at the high school. Now, when the students at the high school have to go to the bathroom, they have to use the Chromebooks to sign out that they're going to the bathroom. Well, the Chromebooks are broken, so this is part of the policy. This is part of the problem with the device policy, because then the teacher will say, "Well, you can't use the Chromebook, so use your phone." And so they use their phone. So we need to get those Chromebooks fixed over the summer. We need those interns to fix those Chromebooks.
I have questions.
Go ahead.
We're using electronics to sign out to go to the bathroom?
Yeah, that's what they do. That's how they monitor who's going where.
A clipboard by the door doesn't work anymore?
I don't know. Well, and that's one of the things they did say. We're relying too much on technology at the high school. They did say that. I wrote that down.
Why are we doing this to ourselves?
Well, there's some reasoning,
Why?
if I can speak.
Go ahead.
There is some good reasoning on this, and sometimes, like, if the administrators want to keep kids from running into each other in the bathroom, certain kids, then it won't give them the pass at the same time.
Oh, boy.
So the system is tricky.
Surveillance.
There's some neat things. Yeah.
Full effect. Okay. That's where we're at now?
Yeah. But they still think that we're relying too much on technology.
I am inclined to agree.
And they talked about Go Guardian. The middle school has it, but the high school and the elementary school don't have Go Guardian. So they said, talk to Clint about this. I must just put that note on for myself. Talk to Clint about Go Guardian.
Yep.
All right. So more teeth in those policies, and when you look at those policies again, if you can invite the teachers, a couple of teachers and administrators to come and give their input.
By all means.
Okay.
I think we have brought administrators, but it'd be good to bring teachers.
Yeah.
Are you planning to send those referrals via email?
Yeah.
And could you include those notes with that email?
All right.
I'd like to have those fresh.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think other...
Athletics fields?
Go ahead.
You're done, right? With Lauren?
I'm done with that.
Okay. Meeting on May 22nd was canceled. The next one is on June 19th. They were just, the last communication I heard, they were hoping that the town council would put forward a referendum for the whole project that then could be broken up, but the commitment would be the whole thing just spread out over 4 years. But it did not go that way last night, unfortunately.
Oh, at the meeting.
Yeah. So they voted to do the piecemeal, so every year there's going to be a vote. So whereas what the Athletic Fields Task Force would have liked and what I would have liked to seen, and a few counselors also advocated for this, was put the referendum out there, let the community decide that they want the full commitment for the full package to be spaced out over a period of years, as best can be done strategically. But that's not the way it went. So we could end up doing this thing piecemeal. And so every year for the next 4, 5, 6 years, there's going to have to be like a rally and a referendum and a rally to push to get the next piece accepted.
So they're not going to have a referendum at all?
I think they're going to have a referendum every year.
Every year. But
yeah.
So what do they want to do?
Parts by parts.
What do they want to do the first year?
So
the bleachers.
They haven't decided that yet.
Oh.
But There is an inclination towards the high school.
Okay.
There was that, but there's a competing inclination towards Gloucester.
Oh, jeez.
So somehow the memo is not being received.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
On that one. Glad you're on that one.
Doing what I can over here.
Okay. On trails and library, Matthew? Thank you, Ian.
No report.
I have a report from Learn. I'll just read it. Learn Board of Directors met on May 8, 2025. Learn Associate Executive Director Dr. Ryan Donlin provided an update on the Regional Multicultural Magnet School 3 to 8 middle school design and provided a comprehensive overview of Learn's long-term strategic vision for its magnet schools. They're shifting from silo institutions to a cohesive family of schools. We reviewed the budget presented by Michael Belden. Kate Erickson gave a legislative update. Rest Alliance executive directors continue to advocate for increased state funding and support for regional educational services in Southeast Connecticut. And we had an update on the Regional Remote Learning Collaborative of 5 districts: East Lyme, Waterford, New London, Osabrook, and Learn. 4 courses met the minimum threshold of 13 students, and that's 3D modeling and architecture, true crime writing, emergency medical responder, and American Sign Language. And it's going to start in the 2025-2026 school year. Okay? And that's it for Learn. Let me give this to Jim.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Oops, sorry.
Letters and next is information proposals, letters and communications, comments by board members on meeting items and other items in their jurisdiction. Anyone have anything? Ian?
I do, but I would
Matthew?
let Matthew go first.
Thank you. You may recall a couple months ago I mentioned I raised the possibility of doing a senior exit survey to glean what our customers, in quotes, to try to replicate what every organization, significant sized organization does, sees how the people it tries to serve are responding to what we're doing. At the time, a couple months ago, if you remember, otherwise, I thought that there was pretty broad support, that Susan thought it could be useful, and I mentioned it again last month. And since we've all been kind of buried, all of us, into this budget process, I had a crack at designing a questionnaire which I sent to Bev and which she gave to Susan. And I'd love to have Susan give some feedback as to what has happened. We have 9 days left to graduation and we're running out of time.
And I think I had responded to you that there is
An update for the board.
There is a survey that has been given to seniors. I'm going to review it with Matt even potentially tomorrow. And I had given him your suggestions so they can look at it for a future date.
Okay. Ian?
So I just got a short list here. A couple of things I want to touch on. One, this is my semi-monthly reminder request of a transplant data review.
Yes.
I'd like to get a sense of how our student population is dispersing, where they're coming from, where they're going to, amongst the magnet schools.
And can we do the center of Groton and where the kids that live in the center of Groton go? Like, what do you actually want? Well, Susan said that if you want a transplant map, that costs what, $9,000?
I was under the impression that the map was already a project, so I referred to it as a transplant map.
Okay.
Back in December of 2023, it was referred to as a transplant or a map, that there'd be a graphic. Further conversations indicate that maybe that was not the case, that the map would cost money to produce.
Mm-hmm.
So I refined my request to just the data to show the attendance zones that would be their natural school district based on where they live, as if they went to a neighborhood school, versus where they attend, through the magnet system.
So like Thames River Magnet School. Those kids that would go to that school normally, where are those kids going?
Right.
In that district.
And vice
we do
versa.
have an attendance map for that, so families that are new to the area can see where is their attendance, where they
Yeah,
live, and where their so their
quote-unquote
school is.
natural attendance zone,
There-
like
yeah.
the neighborhood school.
But then they
would be
can
there.
also apply. And
Right.
so we had been given the recommendation that this could be done, but it was at a cost. So I did mention it to Lauren, and she thinks she can pull the data together.
Right, just in like
Yeah.
whatever sort of Excel spreadsheet, like as raw, as low impact as you can possibly, like I don't want to, overburden the central office, but like,
Can't put kids' names.
of course. you
Yeah,
know.
he just wants numbers.
Right, right.
Yeah.
you know,
Numbers.
I just want to get a sense of like how many kids are moving, are traveling,
Right.
from one attendance zone to another to attend the magnet, and
And in
the
all
proportion.
fairness to Ian, he has been asking for
Yeah.
this for a while.
Right.
So,
Um,
and budget is over, so now maybe
Yeah.
he can get that by the end of the month.
And in support of Ian, I mean, literally we have the names of the kids, we have their home address, and we know where they're going to school. We wipe out the name of the kids, it's a simple VLOOKUP or pivot table, and it should not cost $9,000.
Okay.
We were
All right.
thinking dots on a map because we can't give them your addresses either. So we.
Oh, you wipe out the addresses,
No, he just wants numbers.
just,
Just
numbers.
It should be all in the busing data.
the kid
right.
would have gone to Thames River, but
Instead he goes to?
Said 25 kids would have gone to Thames River, but 5 are going here, 4 are going there, 10 are going there.
Right.
That's all.
That's all.
Yeah.
Okay, Ian, go ahead. What else?
So I just also wanted to share with the board that, I spent a lot of time in the RTM chambers over the past month, and I dropped in on a few meetings and talked to a few of the members, and especially during the push for reconsideration. And a lot of the feedback I got was that, we have, there was a crisis of confidence in the numbers that we had. It was not so much, it wasn't like our number was faulty as much as it was that there's so much change and so much unknown, and
Well, and I think a certain town rep had indicated that he had a plan that would get us down to that negative
right, well, there's that, and,
.3 million.
that was
was looking at an estimated column.
right, but also like on our end, inside our own deliberations, like when we asked questions, like we were getting changing answers, and understandably, there's been a lot of changeover and a lot of turmoil in the business office, and there's a lot of extraneous circumstances going on, but I just want to, this is the impetus for trying to get our budget tuned up to a point where it's easily discernible, to all who view it, as much detail, as comprehensive, as Dean noted, it's a real impact. Like, I think we could have had a much better case this year had we had, some of the changes that we requested that came out of the ad hoc budget procedure committee prior to this budget cycle. Had some of those changes been implemented fully and faithfully, then I think that would have helped our case. So as we bring on the new finance director, I hope that we can all work together as a team to really tighten up our delivery of the budget. Because, if it doesn't make it past, we're the first line of vetting. And if it has trouble getting out of our room, then we're going to have trouble explaining it to the public and defending it to the public and to the other bodies in town. So I really want to invest time, and energy with the administration to get our team dynamic tuned up so that we can that it's a full team effort in creating a budget that the community can feel confident in. And I mentioned this at the last meeting, but I just said, as far as like social media posts and all that, I can understand people's passions, but I would encourage anyone that is inclined to post. If you are concerned about issues, the most effective way to advocate for your concerns is to email us directly, come to a meeting, speak to us directly, put your comments on record, and let's have the discussion. Let's not.
And I would say that to our community, that the best way to go is to go to the person who is closest to your child, whether it's the teacher, the principal, to come first to the school personnel to get answers is really the way to go, to be honest.
And another thing was the communications regarding the whole swim team situation. At some point, I would like to kind of revisit that. There seemed to be some breakdown as far as like what we thought we were doing as a board, and then how that information got out to the public and got out to the students and the parents. That created a situation that upset a lot of people. But at the end of the day, like, that was never the board's position to make that adjustment, to my understanding, the way that the meeting went. There was a lot of concern about the whole idea of consolidating the co-op and making those changes. And I know Bev expressed some doubts of not having details. I know I just expressed those doubts. We didn't understand what the plan was, and at the end of the 19th meeting on the 19th, that reduction was zeroed out and was not advanced by the board. But somehow it got communicated to the public that it was moving forward. The reduction was moving forward. So I'm concerned about that. And that's something I think we need also to work on as a board and administration team. In the referral list, we've spent, that referral list has come up a few times in the last few meetings, and there's been some urging to remove stuff from the list. I would rather that we invest the time in coming up with a system of prioritizing and systematically moving through the items. And some of those items could probably be over with in a 15, 20-minute conversation, whether or not we want to take action on it or not.
Well, I'm going to propose, and it's in our handbook, all referrals, and Jay just did this last night, all referrals, it's in, I think it's 9323. All referrals go in writing, comes to the chairperson, I review it, and then just like Dean and I always said, it's the consensus of the board whether the referral goes forward.
Okay, whatever the system's going to be.
That's how I'm going to enforce that. Or don't give me the referrals verbally.
Okay.
Everything in writing, email it to me, and I'll send it out to you guys. And at the meeting, I'll tell you, we all will have the referral. I have Jay's right here. And then we decide, yes, we want that referral, or no, we don't want that referral. And that's why we got so many referrals, because you have a referral, Jen has a referral, Adrian, Dean has 10 of them, Jay has 15, and the list goes on, and we're always adding to the list. And some things, because it's the board, it's not individual board members. It has to be the board that agrees, this is something we want to talk about. So that's how it's going to be, and you can look at it on the 9323.
Yeah, I'll look that up, and that's fair if that's the policy, and we want to adhere to that closely. That's great.
Yeah.
I would just, if that's the process, then let's be clear about it and consistent about it and move forward.
Because we try to put things on a referral list, but then there's always something else that
Right.
it never ends.
Well, no, but it never ends. That's the whole point.
The referral's been there since, 2023.
Well, the referral list is the this is the Golden Gate Bridge we're doing here. Nothing's ever done.
Yeah.
But anyway,
we're working on
anyway, I'd rather spend time handling the referral items than talking about removing them.
Well, I'm going to go over them and say, okay, there's something on this referral list. Do we all want this? Do we all want to talk about it? And if we do, then let's stay on the referral list. Because that's not how it's been going. It's been going that everybody's just been saying, I want this, I want to put this referral on the referral list. And it's not what everybody might want to talk about.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, whatever it is, let's lay it out there and have a system that moves it forward. And if there is consensus, a referral item gets on there, then let's make sure we systematically move it to the agenda at some point in the next, 3 to 6 months. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I just,
It's after 9:30.
yeah,
I have
I'm good.
breakfast at 7 with the youth.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
You're the
7 a.m.
superintendent. If we're still sitting here, you should be sitting here with us.
I know, but I'm saying I have a breakfast at 7 a.m.
Well, these guys got to work too, don't forget. Go ahead, Dean.
I had nothing, just to save time. I wasn't going to add anything valuable, but I did want to respond just very, very, very briefly to something you said about how it looks, how our budget process looks, and how we do it affects what the reaction is within the other two bodies in the town, elected bodies in the town. And I think they're fair points, but there's also a presumption there that we're approaching the other bodies as though they are already zeroed out scales, and we're the ones adding or subtracting to, either side. I wouldn't discount the existence of an agenda. In other words, it's not that we look incompetent or we look like we don't have our act together, and therefore people who were neutral are now going, you know what? I don't know now. Sometimes it's the case, I'll put it out here, sometimes it's the case that there are people who are looking for an excuse and we give it to them. But they were not in favor of they were not going to be in favor of our budget anyway. We're going to be the whipping boy anyway. And let's face it, the last couple of years we've come in with some large dollar increases. We are the biggest single item on the town's budget. So it's pretty popular to say, oh, no. You want how many more millions of dollars? This is a town of 40,000 people, for Pete's sake. That kind of thing. So,
fair point.
Yeah, some people, using the word fair, some people are going to look at it fairly. And yes, we could do a better job convincing them by getting our own act together. Other sections of the audience? They got the Rotten Tomatoes already.
True. And to be fair, just like the people I talked to were people that I believed were
fair-minded.
Equal, fair-minded folks. Like I've been around a few years now. I got a filter.
Adrian.
All right. Well, I support a lot of what Ian said. Transplant data, I support that as well. I got a call from...
Sorry, there was one more thing on my list, too, which I sent you, sorry, to jump back in. But the email situation. I sent an email about this. It seemed like there were some emails that were being filtered.
Oh, no. Clint said, not too bad Clint's not here, but Clint told me, well, I'll talk to you offline. I don't want to give people's names, so I'll talk to you after the meeting about it. Go ahead.
All right. Well, transitioning in, I received a call from a...
But there's no emails being filtered.
All right, I'll continue with what I'm saying because it's directly related. So you explained to me what Clint said about emails being filtered, and I received a call from someone and said that their email had been blocked. And I asked that person to send me an email again. It got blocked. They got a response saying that they were blocked from the system. I then had them send it to my personal email, and it came through fine. And then I sent something out to them, but then they just tried to respond to that, and they were blocked again. So I don't know what I'm also concerned because that's not the first email that seems to have been filtered out. However, it's happening in our system. So there was other email where I was CC'd early on in an email chain, but I never got those early on emails when I was CC'd. So whatever our system is of filtering emails and however that happens, it is different, in my opinion, for board members than for anyone that works in the school. Anyone that works in the school is under your purview. You can read all their emails.
I don't.
You can, no, I know, but you could. Yeah, I mean,
don't.
if you're an
I wouldn't.
employee here, I think you know your email is, it's part of the organization.
Have you talked to
but
Clint about this?
No,
Oh.
this just happened. This just happened after our discussion on this, so I don't know how emails get filtered out, but
Barracuda.
well, whatever it is, I mean, this is a person with a
won't
Gmail address that's been living in the town for a very long time, and I read the email. It didn't seem like spam at all. And I actually had to copy and paste it, and that's what I emailed to all of the board members about charging stations. So anyway, the concern about email is real, and it affects us in the way people can contact us. So that being said, that email was specifically a concern about the expensive charging stations, which I believe we're hopefully on top of. Either recouping the costs or maybe just not offering them or something like that. There was another email from a resident about the lack in use of portable toilets at the baseball field for summer baseball. So I think I saw somewhere that there's going to be a toilet or a porta potty down there this summer, which is great. Hopefully we can talk to all the coaches and make sure it's
I think
used.
Sam gave us a whole list of porta potties
Yeah,
all
he
across.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
he
the
did.
other part was that person said that they started discussions, emails to other people, and didn't get a response, which is how it ended up coming to a board member
I
now.
want to talk to him offline too about that one.
But, all right, well, I mean,
John Bird thing. Is it?
yeah, he said he sent the email to a few different people, but, all right. So lots of emails regarding swimming. As was already stated, I'm sure everybody got lots of emails. The concern that I had, in addition to that, was the messaging that it seemed that everyone thought that the board had cut swimming, and I don't know how that messaging got out that way. But I tried to tell people we have not cut it, we're voting on it, but somehow the messaging
Okay.
ended up different.
Anything else?
Yes. I'm going to read, this will take 2 minutes, but I had written this to read here, and then I was going to read it at another meeting, and I've just decided I'm going to read it here. So it kind of ties into some of the stuff Dean was talking about, too. So I speak today not only as a board member, but as a resident of Groton who believes in shared priorities and a commitment to the common good. I've grown increasingly discouraged, not just about the future of our schools, but about the direction of our town as a whole. Recently, I sat down with the numbers, and over the past decade, the town's overall spending has increased by 34%. Many departments have seen substantial increases. Town operations is up 48%, town IT and finance up 36%, public safety up 42%, public works 21%, planning and development up 33%, parks and rec up 52%. Shinnecock Golf Course is up 53%, but I think they offset all of their expenses with fees. So Shenny is up, but they pay for it. The City of Groton is up 40%. And this is just the budgeted spending and doesn't include things like the Shore Ave seawall or the bridge on 215 in Noank. But when we look at education, only an 18.5% increase over 10 years, just 1.8% annually. Our schools and our library, who is actually just below us, have received the smallest increases across the board. They say if you want to see an organization's true priorities, look at its budget. And I get that from Matthew, who said that. The data is clear. While public safety, town operations, and recreation are important, education, the foundation of our community's future, has consistently been underfunded. We're now facing painful cuts that will impact our children and their futures. We know early education gaps have lifelong consequences on achievement, opportunity, and earning potential. This affects not only individual students, but the economic strength of Groton for generations. And yet, education continues to be the department under scrutiny. The Board of Ed has been unfairly vilified, And now the town's operational review appears timed for political effect, likely to be completed just before the election and used to justify further cuts to education, while those same elected officials ignore the unchecked growth in other departments. To the students, especially the swimmers who spoke so passionately last week, thank you. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry we couldn't convince the town of what's at stake. We hear you, and we will continue to fight for you. But for this year, we've fallen short, and it will be felt with cuts to student supports. Groton is my lifelong home, and it pains me to see us walk this path. I urge all of you to reflect, not just on what's said in the headlines or public comments, but on the numbers themselves. We can't afford to let our children, our educators, and our future fall to the bottom of our town's priorities. We must do better. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Jen?
I have nothing, but I feel like he should go to a town council meeting.
I think that was wonderfully said.
All right. Andrea? You have anything?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Are you ready? Motion to adjourn.
Wait. No, we're not ready yet. No. Not yet. No.
We're still going around the room.
We're still going around the room. Mike? Huh?
We don't have our act together? Okay.
We have our act together. You were just rushing the adjournment. We're going around the room. We're still on letters and communications.
Yeah,
So we weren't on adjournment yet. I didn't say motion to adjourn. Okay.
Say what we're all.
So,
Actually, the only thing I have to say is I want to thank the individual who wrote that letter and mention that I said who's paying for my gas when we talked about.
yeah.
And I truly still believe that and still mean it. So thank you.
Yeah. That was, I think that was Mr. Brian Keeley. I think that was his name.
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Brian Keeley, if I'm pronouncing his last name right, I think that was him who wrote the letter about the EV stations.
Yes.
And gave us a lot of information in that letter, too.
Yeah.
Greatly appreciated.
Yeah. All right, Mike?
Thank you. Just on that letter, I do appreciate the letter and the detailed information. I do like that. A counterpoint, I'll say, I really find it disheartening, both not our town, our schools, our state, and probably our nation, how little funding we're putting into, trying to correct some of the wrongs we've wrought on this climate over the years. As a climate scientist, it's disheartening. I'm sure it is to our future generations, which we're educating and trying to set a good, example for. But that's not what I want to talk about. I just want to say that I attended, as always, many year-end activities, like concerts, awards night, and they're always wonderful, well-run. It really speaks to how important a cultural and intellectual hub our schools are, and how bright the future is. And tying into the environment, let's provide it with a good place, a good planet too. But then also, I am very concerned about the email blocking. I think it's a kind of fundamental to the democratic process that the constituents have unfettered access to communicate with us, and our prime way in this day and age is the email address listed on our website. That's the official way to communicate. We've got to err on the side of just a clear channel for that, or at very least let us know what are the policies for people being blocked. And then, so really want to know that on the board. And then the other part that I want to say is I did get questions about the Fitch Auditorium renovations. They can't possibly be all complete, but I'd like to, we should get a status update, I'd say, at the next next meeting for that. That's about a year in of funding for that. Thank you.
All right, Jay?
Yes, thank you. And I just want to say thank you to Adrian for a very thoughtful statement. I'm sorry that it's at the end of what will be an 8-hour regular May meeting that went over 2 days. So I don't know, anyone who makes it through all that should get an award. And I do hope he repeats it in a more public forum so that people can hear it. In terms of the email, other organizations put any questionable emails into a filter and send out a summary each day so that the recipient can determine whether they want to receive it or not. I do know that we have to be concerned about malicious emails and attachments that, could, harm the infrastructure. I mean, let's remember, we did go through a cyber attack, which cost us almost $100,000 that, came through a network connection. I don't know if it was ever traced back exactly, but on the other hand, besides that kind of malicious filtering, anything else should just go into a holding area. And I know Outlook does support that, and so I think we should look into allowing people to get that daily summary of questionable emails, and then they can decide, as long as anything malicious is stripped out.
We have a
Technology's there, so.
We have a system called Barracuda that does that. So I will ask Clint to make sure that because I do receive that.
Yeah, we should.
So Clint can come and tell us. Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, nobody should be blocked unless there's malicious code attached. I mean, obviously that's the only filter that we should be using. Everything else should be unfiltered. So anyway, all right, I'm going to keep us from going into the 8th hour. So thank you so much.
Okay. Anybody else I missed? Matthew's not online anymore. I don't see his name. I think he left. Okay, I attended STEAM night at Captain Kanaski School. It was very nice. I mean, they had the Navy there, Pfizer's, a whole lot of people. It was well attended, and it was a good event. So thank you, Captain Kanaski, for putting that together. I don't know, do we do referrals now or at the CAL?
I think at the CAL.
No,
CAL?
Well,
because I could wait.
technically, the board makes referrals. You can refer things to the CAL, you can refer things to standing committees,
Okay.
you can create new committees.
All right. So this is Jay's referral, and then you can say where you want to put it. And I emailed it to everybody. Jay would like the board to consider a program to reward employees who suggest savings in the district. Now, he said the challenge is how to evaluate the suggestions in a way that savings are real but do not affect students or critical operations. So that's Jay's referral. Again, he would like the board to consider a program to reward employees who suggest savings in the district.
I think that's a worthwhile area of discussion. I'd like to discuss it as a board.
Okay. You wanted to go to CAL or to finance?
If you went to finance, then finance could do some research and fashion a report of like recommended practices and other places that may do
some
such things.
legwork.
Yeah.
Well, we would turn around and give it to administration, so.
Right, but either way, like by the time it made it to the CAL, there'd be some
There'd be some
information to review.
ideas. Yeah.
We
Yeah,
could compare and contrast certain different programs.
I think that wheel has been invented elsewhere, so we're not creating something out of, we don't know how to do it necessarily. We've never done it before, but I bet you other institutions, schools especially, have also tried ideas like this. So I'm sure with some research we can find how Stonington did it, or Oshkosh, Wisconsin, or whoever.
Right. Adrian? would you want to refer it to finance? Jen? Okay. Mike?
Yeah, I'd like that, and I want to point out that I did suggest a reduction to accounts just yesterday, so I think I qualify for this bonus.
You do. You did a really nice job, Mike. I thank you.
Mike. Employees only.
What did he say?
He
he
offered
did.
suggestions. I said, "Attaboy, that's good."
All right. And Jay, that was your referral, so I know you're good with it. Andrea?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll refer that. We'll put on a referral list, and I'll send it over to finance.
Very well.
They need something to do. Okay, everybody has the committee on the meeting. The next meeting is on Monday at Groton Middle School, and that's when we do our awards. So, okay?
Oh, I didn't note that, yes.
And that's about it. Okay. Anything else for the good of the order?
All right, Andrea.
Okay, go ahead, Andrea.
Now.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, motion to adjourn made by Andrea. Do I have a second? By Jay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Good night.